Obviously, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for Gen.G just based on their first two maps, because it's not only going against Border that VP have picked into, but then Bank, we know what VP are like on Bank. Yeah, they know that map inside and out. I think it could be a two and done. I think it might be.
Well, a two and done is definitely a potential way of looking at it. In terms of, I'm just past 180 days, I'm throwing up a Border statistic for you right now. So with more plays than at least one, so I'm not counting the two teams that have only played Border once, the best defense statistics, Furia, to no massive surprise, won 77% of their defenses on a 6-0 recent Border stint. Virtus.pro on a 4-1 stint have a 75% defensive win rate over 5 play days on this map.
Those are not pretty stats, are they, if you're a Gen.G fan or just a Gen.G player in general? So they're going to need to lock in, and they get the privilege of going on the defense first. And if we have a look at the bans, I think very wise from Gen.G is that they went for the shield bans. However, the shield that they've left up is probably the best out of the lot, being the Blackbeard, which I find a little bit weird.
I think it, you know, it heralds itself into a specific style of play, right? Okay. Monty, you know, has places that they can sort of get themselves loaded in towards. Blitz can be a bit of a sharp drive. They maybe still want to try and angle towards a bit of pressure on a Blackbeard. A Blackbeard player can be one of two things. They can be a Blitz player, or they can be a Monty player that is uncomfortable, right? The Blitz player Blackbeard will throw themselves in, find engagements, punch you in the face. The Monty player can sometimes get a little bit stuck and slow down and sort of watch. Maybe they're hoping that that awkward middle ground is where they can best operate, but I agree with you, it's a surprising one, especially with how much Blackbeard can just absolutely destroy open rotations. Like, they could fill the job of a Sledge or a Buck on this map.
So East's take is where VP are looking for, and Shepard takes a lot of damage on the Blackbeard that we've been praising from that DMR. And again, this is a position that we see frequent more and more now that we see Border be played. It's this East hold where you reinforce up this single wall and you just try and hold East for all that you're worth. And they have brought in a bit of denial in terms of the util, that of course being the renew of the Aruni gates. That two from Deadshot. Sky's still prone. He will get taken out before the trade is there on the joystick. And VP, this round is still flat in his face.
I mean, a perfect C4, right? They were fully attentive, fully watching towards the player and the position of the Aruni. And just a cheeky toss out the window. Gone. Removes the Blackbeard. They've lost the IQ. They've lost the gridlocks. They've lost any control on the rotates around. This point, yeah, it's two great players, but do you have the operating utility to try to pull it out? The main utility drivers of a push, gone. There's a steady approach in towards office, but Gen.G have just pulled themselves back. They're not going to sit around and sort of wait for an eventuality. That'll make the swing a little bit more awkward, but they're fishing here, Demo. Virtus.pro trying to find an engagement and misses one.
Reloading.
Sprays against the player that the shots don't quite fully connect with. Oh, there's the ping. There's always getting at least his one. They drop out, they rotated, and this is when the loss of the gridlock's going to be bad. Dan does get another, but 20 seconds, Demon, 2 versus 1 now.
Yeah, Dan have to creep up in through 90 and just doesn't have the time on the side, nor does he have the diffuser, so he has to try and play for the kills. Frostmat will be in front of him. Knows that one's below, but not aware that the player is so close. Swinging that door. Gen.G, an easy lockout for them. Again, they did done most of their heavy lifting in that kind of first portion of the round with that double C4 kill. Really just put the round to bed at that stage. It was a simple cleanup then for Gen.G to find the rest. So yeah, good start. And again, that's good prep though from Gen.G, knowing that VP, they will always try and attack in from east stairs. So put up a little bit of a fight. You know, just don't give them that easy access into it. make them work for, and that's exactly what they did. So yeah, nice adaptation.
Well, the start built upon the back of this. I mean, you just couldn't ask for a perfect 2 ops to remove. More so. There, and they got a couple of sort of kills slowly and steadily, but I think as long as Gen.G didn't entirely throw themselves at that, they had that locked in. They got the pick on the opposite end of always. There was a moment where it was like, oh, and then it was like, oh. 1-0. Gen.G get themselves off to a start, but how long and how far can this roster go? Deadshot obviously getting 4 kills in that opener. We know the pedigree of Deadshot. We know the rosters they've played on before. We know the places that they've played in and how well they've sort of played it. Is this going to be a day where he's able to shoot himself in towards the approach of a Virtus.pro? Remember a Virtus.pro that, you know, when you and I cast them last, unbelievable.
It was just straight in, did the job well, no complaints. And I think for VP, certainly up against a side like Gen.G, it's the same mentality that they need to have and just kick on. Because don't forget, I mean, whoever wins this series has to go straight into another one against Falcons, who now have a bit of a break. So I think for both teams, they're going to want to try and get this done quickly.
Well, quick might be the MO. You're not going to get through that with that. Cycling gadgets. As they do finally find the break, Joystick almost gets his head ripped clean off by Skies, who's just aggressively leaning in towards the top of the square and then aggressively stepping his way back out. Border, you're never 5 feet away from a fight, and as the pressure starts to encircle its way around Break, you can see the hot pings. They're fully dedicated towards that player, but with the wall still stood, you don't really have a way to force them out, and they can slip their way to safety. Now, removed, revitalized defense, still has some CC control, but still has the direct vertical control of the site as well. At this point, Virtus.pro, a minute 30, it's taken them to get inside the building. They're looking for the next follow through, but all they've really got is top east. And as always, going to start applying the pressure inside the site. I think that was towards Asta, wherever it was. Always does win out. Gets the drop. Was that around detention or jail? Has just broken his way in on jail demo.
Yeah, classic Sophie, just by himself, solo pushing, finds an opening pick, and that will give them customs and supply control now, which is a good foothold to have, of course, for this bomb site, which is just in the other end of it. Just right beside customs and that. It locks down metal, of course, so it really does limit the rotates that Gen.G can do now. But VP just taking their time, working for the motions, and now they can start turning it up a notch and start moving their way in towards armory and security and the likes. And speaking of security, there is still Azox inside Brazil right now, and I think Joystick knows he's there, but just doesn't want to go for it. It leaves up to Shepard, who dispatches with him very efficiently, and the last player also falls the fountain. I mean, that's just VP at its best. Just find a guy, kill, another guy, dead. Just works through it. You're really, really good stuff again from VP.
Beautiful step-by-step process there.
Yeah.
And they also, you know, I think that was it, right? It's, for as long as we've talked about this team, the compliments that we've paid them, the herald of a bad VP round that echoes with every single, you know, worrisome tick of the clock is the clock. It's always been that worry, but there they just, and this season they've made sure that they're always in step with it. You had, as I said, a minute 30, they've gotten the yeast, they've gotten this, and then that's when the Dockery starts to activate on the opposite end, and then they put this into place, rather than an old VP where they said it themselves that they used to be worried to sort of throw themselves into those engagements and feel like they had to do it. It's just been very, very well orchestrated, and here, although Deadshot's got himself off to a bit of a rip-roaring start, unfortunately, he is the only Gen.G player outside of Asa to find a kill.
Yep. Again, Border as a map comes down to kills. It's not a strategical map in the sense of, oh, you have to follow a step-by-step process. It is fast. It is furious. It's not the film franchise, but it's close enough to it. I just think that on a map like Border, you have to lean into the fast operators. You know, the operators where you want to play off just sheer aggression. Okabe, Blackbeard, Grim, all those operators are in your face. Yeah, you don't need hard breach for this map. So it even frees you up to bring in 4 operators like that who provide more of the aggressive util.
At this point, 1 apiece. And with the limitations obviously brought on from the clash in his army, the castles has pinged your only real architecture that you can sort of deploy and build behind here. Yes, you can play on the back of swings, you can try and burn utility with the gates, but Virtus.pro are more than structured enough to get the piece-by-piece removal. Skies, once again, playing this swing position here with the DMR. Virtus.pro aren't paying it anywhere near as much attention as otherwise did before. Instead, it looks like it's going to be a drive on towards break. Cut them in half. Make sure they can't just rotate their way out. Sprays through, but a very scrappy whiff there from Always. Needs some support sooner rather than later, and Joystick is there. Another call. We hear the C4 second away from being removed. Now, where does Skies go? Azox finds Dan, stops the entire push from collapsing on towards the front of them, and Always worried there's going to be a rotate up metal.
Yeah, you can see that Gen.G just not entirely sure where these players are for VP, and VP, they know exactly where they are, because again, that Dokkaebi call comes in. Another missed kill though for VP, but Always just jumps in through metal to find 1. Great little pinch. VP using that Dokkaebi oh so well to give them that heads up information, and Gen.G just don't have that. They've been forced all the way back into that first floor now, so top floor control is lost for Gen.G. And looking at these 2 players, they may actually look for a retake up metal, maybe.
I think that's the MO. It is being watched, I believe. Yep, Pasha has this just in his angle, waiting and anticipating. There's an air jab on it too. They've done everything they need to do because it's not unknown. But this is a map of risks, right? And at this point, they've still got to go for the plant. They've got the fight. I'm assuming the single wall has been breached. Joystick does trade out 1, and Asta does get Always on the back end. It's a good little poppy utility to try and find the fight across Passport. But as the Blackbeard slips in, they'll be able to get this kit cemented. It's... Ooh, maybe not. Joystick somehow gets caught from the long range, but there's a flank on a flank on a flank demo. Pasha gets the back end of the pincer. There's a fight with a Blackbeard, but they've already claimed it out.
Oh, that castle barricade. That was... I've seen it plenty of times before where that castle barricade actually hinders the defenders. I get the idea. The idea is to have that castle barricade because it gives you an outlet where you can flank up east, actually fight for east, and then also fall back down and don't have to worry about getting pinched from, you know, some angle maybe sat on the catwalk, for example. But if you lose control of that side of the map, which they did, and you lose that top floor, and you can't really fight back because you're down a man, that castle barricade is going to just give a free entrance into the bomb site, and you can simply go for the plant. That's exactly what happened for VP. I think the roam clear really set them up for success because they knew they always were going to have that extra man. They're going to have Pasha just lurking around, which, again, done the business on, like you mentioned, a flank on a flank on a flank. That was the important thing, is you had that extra man who just appeared out of nowhere and caught those remaining defenders by surprise. So, yeah, really good stuff from VP again. Gen.G struggling to win their gunfights right now.
I think you know, as I said before, there was only really 2 players technically that had drawn blood. It's the opposite end of Virtus.pro, where apart from Pasha, who's 1 and 2, heaven forbid, the team is so enraptured and they're in every single angle. They know where they need to cover, they know where they need to support. And yeah, that's what attack is, right? You are the decider, unless they're peeking, of where the first engagement is. If you're not, then you're not attacking very well and you don't have the right intel. That is the purpose of it, and they should be able to apply their balance towards it, but their balance is still gunfights, right? It's not that they're entirely catching Gen.G unaware. There's a back and forth, but it's just not really landing into Gen.G's favor for now. Still, early doors, early days, and an early removal of the bulletproof as we go back towards the top site.
Swapping bags!
So Gen.G, again with that Dokkaebi caused them a lot of issues. Surprised that we didn't see maybe the mute come in a little bit more so. I think having the mute jammer to combo with these mirror windows is going to be pretty nice, because again, it's going to stop any potential hard destruction getting onto them. Of course, having the mute jammer just to help out with these Dokkaebi calls, especially whenever the mirror window is in a bit of a hot pocket position. Obviously, towards that Brazil hatch, you're going to get pressure from a lot of different angles, and certainly being able to take the Dokkaebi calls off the board, yeah, it's going to help you massively to really help you in those engagements against this VP side, who we know are just going to try and look for that one small gap, use their util, and then explode onto you from every different angle and hit you with that gun skill that we know is so strong. Basha actually goes below and will pop that mirror window and also sends in the bees, but we know that the bees are not going to be too much of an issue whenever that mute jammer is still on board for Gen.G. Always, again, another opening pick. He's been great at finding these picks on this Dokkaebi.
I mean, they're just sending him in, right? I'm surprised they didn't ban the Dokkaebi. Yeah, as you said, they can play the mute and they can go against the jams, but it's just a limit always who's just like, Dokkaebi, kill. Dokkaebi, kill. And almost the scratch here as Joystick does escape a C4 that was sort of thrown as a bit of a Hail Mary for a kill there. Now they have some attention on towards Office. They're waiting for a drift round. It's a solid sort of no man's land as they're trying to pass the divide, but Deadshot threads the needle, looks for a second, slips his way back into the fight, actually. I thought he was going to try and maybe get around to the other side and trust that it was still soft and boarded, but 30 seconds. They're just moving their way in, always! What is he doing, wow. Demo? Even Gen.G don't know! That is just more and more bodies piled ahead of them! Ban the player! Unbelievable drive on the Dokkaebi. I mean, just, as I said, so confident with this map and that operator.
The synergy is there in abundance, isn't it? Just the way he's waiting, he's just at tunnel, he's just waiting for his teammate. Okay, I know the Blackbeard's coming in armory. 3, 2, 1, push. They're making this look so simple. They really are. They understand the map. That's the one thing. I see a lot of teams will go to border, especially on their attacking half, and they'll be sitting there bringing in hard breachers. And I sit there thinking, why? Why would you bring in hard breachers on a map like this? You don't need that. Look at their lineup. They've got that core, the Dokkaebi, the Blackbeard, and the Grim. Those are the kind of operators that you want to see. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's in your face. Gen.G just don't know how to cope with it. The aggression is just getting way too out of control. And do you look at the bans that VP have went for as well on the defense? Or banning their defending operators? Flash, Azami, and Castle. Those three operators are great at slowing down util-focused lineups. So their bans as well have been right on cue. Yeah, there's no safety for VP. All those three operators give safety in some shape or form. They're taking that off the board. They are leaving Gen.G exposed. So open. Reloading!
Well, as I said, the engagement is picked unless it's peaked. And there is Skies peeking out and getting the first. But how long can they hold on this position? They have the smoke canisters to buy as much time as possible. But it's Pasha creeping their way in from underneath. The grenades will start to roll. They're hoping it will force him into that, but they didn't even need it. Joystick tears the head off in the middle of a smoke throw. It was a bold idea. Punished. And now that's none of that utility to be used later on. Always. Hi, my name is Always. Oh, we're playing border. I'll pick Dokkaebi and go in and try to kill people. Oh, looked away at the worst possible time, though. Almost had it once again. 4 versus 3.
Dokkaebi off the board, and I think that's an operator that has rewarded VP massively with a lot of value. Still got the Blackbeard though, who can make an opening. But don't forget what bomb site this is. It's not the top floor. It is in towards that Benton workshop. So even if they take the top floor, still more work to be done and moving their way in towards that first floor. But with no soft destruction, it will make things pretty difficult. But Gen.G are still attempting to hold on upstairs, and Joystick able to find a freebie as Deadshot pokes his head up by a C4 in return. will still keep the advantage in favor of Gen.G. Now, for Gen.G, a minute left. You know what you're up against, the Blackbeard and IQ. You know there's going to be no vertical pressure being applied. Reload. All they have to do is sit and hold their crossfires. Where are they going to come from? Probably hatches. Watch the hatches. Double up. Take the 1v2s if you can. And win the round. That's it. That is their win con. Just sit and watch the hatches.
40 seconds, and they're going to try and get the shield in, but well, there's not a lot to give them any real cover here, apart from, as you said, the watch of the hatches. They're quite wide, but Asa wins out, and there's the rotate above. Okay, at this point...
He just wallbanged him, by the way, blindly.
I hate when that happens. And that happens as well. Yep, job's done. Easy enough, sort of around there, and Gen.G, they can hold themselves pretty confidently.
Yeah, much better. Much better for them. Yeah, I think losing that Dokkaebi, obviously they would love to have had that other call to really help them in that final stage. But good patience from Gen.G. Again, they knew what they were up against. Just don't have to push them. We just wait. Let the clock do a lot of the heavy lifting for us. Just run it down, and they did that really well. So much better from Gen.G. But I still feel as though they need this next round. I think they need the even split. I think a 4-2 is dangerous.
I mean, it's Virtus.pro that are dangerous, right? It's good now. We sort of commented on the kill game and it falling away. That was good movement and team from Gen.G. It wasn't just sort of a round built on the tent poles of Deadshot going massive. It was good movement, good picking back up, good cover and support of each other, and then they sort of realized and had the read on where Virtus.pro were going. And yes, they got an early advantage, and then they were able to double down upon it. But still, it's what happens next that defines you against the toppest teams, and Virtus.pro are definitely one of those in EML. 3-2, still far from over, and still a potential. We've got obviously the Nook now in the role of Pasha.
Yeah. Waiting for him. Just waiting for Pasha to have a round. Just been pretty quiet at the moment, and of course for our standout player this stage, just you know what'll come. It will pop off at some point, but we just need to see when. Oh, Skies, be careful. That is a nade. Almost loses his life. He's down to about 40 HP or so, but still alive, and the nades are steadily being thrown in to burn some util, I imagine. And they have still got plenty of nades left to the bucket of joystick. Now, obviously for VP, sacking off the Blackbeard will make things a little bit more tricky in terms of getting in towards East, but there's that man again, always.
Hi, my name is Always. We're on border. I pick Dokkaebi and kill somebody.
Look where he is! Look where he is!
What is he doing?
He's playing Sniper Simulator. Oh, you'd be raging if your Deadshot dying to that, wouldn't you? You'd be livid.
Oh, narrow margins. On towards the fight here, but at this point, surely they try and pull away from Pasha. They've lost, at this point, the control of those stairs. And yeah, Nakio just tucks himself further and further away. They obviously had a CC player gone. It was Deadshot. It was the man of the moment before. So I said before, they're able to step up as a team and thread around together. So now they've got to do it without him, with a man deficit. Can they try and peel things back from a death moment here? Because we go on towards, what, Bank next? Uh-oh. There's always that worry. Even though you picked it, you know it's not going to be easy. Pasha traded out. Zessa pushes back into Fountain, and Azox does find Always. Although we're hot droning, 60 seconds left, and now it's, well, not even anymore, Demo.
Yeah, a lot of map controls now being taken up by VP. They've got their way into security and into towards break, and now they're going to look to put pressure over towards office side, and really it's Asa who has to go big. He has to make a play here and find some picks, but just nobody seems to be wanting to challenge him for the meantime, and they actually expose himself to that DMR. Oh, takes so much damage. They still flicks over towards Shepard, but he's quick enough to finish him off. And now Azox, I think they know where he is, in towards armor. He got a kill from here previously, and yeah, easy enough for VP to clean it up. Just VP, all they need is that little bit of info, and they are so deadly, aren't they? Just if they know where you are, they somehow find a way to kill you.
Yeah, I think at that point, you know, they were just playing the trade games. They were setting themselves up very well there, Virtus.pro, when they got that first engagement. They'd obviously done a lot of damage with the grenade as well. It just forced them further and further back. And now I go back to that terrifying statistic I listed at the start of this, which is that for Virtus.pro, this map is a defensive powerhouse. They've played it 5 times over the past half a year, and they have a 75% defensive win rate across the 5 times they've played it. So they're pretty happy here, I think, Demo.
Yeah. Good half for VP. And now they get that defense. So Gen.G, it's time to lock in and get this underway.
Bombs.
Now, obviously, I think the lineup for VP is fairly similar in terms of what Gen.G were bringing to the table. The only difference is the Azami is available for VP right off the rip. Whereas Gen.G didn't get the luxury of playing an operator because it was banned pretty swiftly by Gen.G. Or by VP, sorry. I think for the lineup on Gen.G, this is the worry that I have. You kind of look at that lineup and it just feels very bland. Yes, there's going to be a lot of util in terms of nades and flashbangs and such, but where's your main pushing power coming from? You know, the Dokkaebi was a massive pushing power for VP. We're not seeing that be brought in. Is it maybe the Deimos? I mean, that's just an operator used to target one person and one person only. So I think just the lineup, I get what they're going for where you've got plenty of burn, but, you know, it's really relying that you're going to have the better gun skill and you're just going to be able to set angles, just set and hold angles and hope that somebody's going to run into them. Right now, VP, they've been on top of the kill game, haven't they? They've been the team who's been dictating that pace. So I think it's a bold maneuver for Gen.G bringing this lineup out because it does feel pretty bland, I think, for a map like Border.
I think it's sort of the pace of the game, right? There's the force on Shepherd. He's immediately under every single inch of pressure. That was great. Super aggressive take. They had they sort of had a result for everything right there, Demo.
Yeah. I think that's what you expect to see though with that lineup. We've got a lot of flashbangs, lots of nades.
I'm reloading.
Holding East is going to be really difficult unless you have the full whammy of, you know, the ADSs and the whammy magnet set up. BP didn't have any of that. You've still got a nade to be used. Probably you'd like to use that nade for a Goyo canister, which are still lingering around the map, which is probably the next issue that Gen.G are going to have to try and get past, is still the util that is locked in sight. Azami is still going to be sat inside of security. Don't really know how they get rid of her because they don't have the range soft destruction that you would like to have against that operator. So Joystick is in a pretty good pause right now. You can see that all of the pressure now is flowing in through East. So it's going to be East into Archives is the attempted plan, I assume, for Gen.G. Armory and security is going to be off limits simply because of that Azami still up. So we'll see how well VP can do from playing from behind.
Ooh, talk about narrow margins. Who's going to be the first to want to swing on there? It's playing from behind, as you said, but with a minute on. With a different style of removals, it's Nako that actually suffers next. I'm not entirely sure what got him on the down, but no one's in a position now, probably just to fight out across office. He was lucky enough to be behind the desk, and oh, there's one close engagement. It's the swing round for the second, but Azox, he's happy to get a second of his own. 30 seconds, and here comes Dan. 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 Dan, 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 Dan. Gets the Deimos.
Needs to run, though. Needs to get out of there, because, again, they'll know where he is. But in 15 seconds, I mean, Dan can't really do much. He's going to have to go up the staircase at some point, but that has just put a little bit of doubt into the Gen.G player. Oh, what a jump from Nako! Ow, hit fire!
I mean, at this point, yeah, we talk about position, we talk about the pressure, but you can't plan for 2 kills like that. Just blinding the hipfire headshot onto one. I mean, sharp as anything. Gen.G, that round. They get themselves a very convincing attack round there. There was a moment, but even with 15 seconds left, you know, they still did everything they needed to at the right time, right? As you said, you've got to do something when Dan's in there. So what did they do, Demo? push the site.
Yep, that's it. You know a guy is off site, and again, he's not going to do anything because it's a Goyo. Don't know how Joystick is dying though in the position he is.
Camera in position.
You know, as an Izami inside security, where you're going to have all of your Kiba barriers up,
Planting toxins.
and then you lose security, then it opens up an arm retake, and then your team has to fight in 2 fronts. I just think VP, they didn't trade well enough that round. You know, they didn't get the kills back where they needed. Gen.G just kind of moved through the motions, I think, on really good drone work, though. Like, they knew what they wanted to go for. They knew where they were going the whole time. But VP just lacking there in the
10
trades.
seconds to insertion.
Now for Gen.G, again, a much better lineup now. I think this is better. Again, the util dump is one thing, which worked well for holding that player over towards East, which we've seen get dealt with very early on. This is more like it. That Blackbeard, that Dokkaebi, it brought so much to the table for VP. I'm glad to see Gen.G bring it in, because don't forget, you still get nades with Blackbeard. That's the big thing about this operator being a shield, is he's the only one who gets nades. And that helps that a lot with the utility clear, obviously with man marking somebody and being able to nade him out of a corner, it helps. So yeah, liking the lineup better.
Well, there's an early smoke canister just to stop the instant approach and pressure. We saw how hot and heavy they came in last time. Let's cool them off with a little bit of cold smoke. I assume it's cold. Skies sure isn't. Dan, though, that's the first gone, and that is the smoke out. Again, these aggressive smoke positions, you use them to try and buy time, but, you know, it's just a sort of double failing, right? Them in that position is to be aggressive, is to step into the fight, and is to use as many canisters as they need to buy a minute and a half. Not getting to that marker is a huge blow, and now as they're about to try and find the remaining players up top, it's a good change of face. The Force is going to, in a second, come through, just remove the Valkyrie cam, and the C4 will remove Deadshot.
Good C4. Pasha has went down though. I think a lot of nades are being tossed his way, and
Yeah.
if one of them has been able to scrape him, and in goes the second nade. I mean, I don't think it's going to be for killing Pasha, but it may also get him, which it does. A 2-for-1, the mute jammer and also Pasha's body. So again for Gen.G, this is better control, using that Blackbeard to more or less just contain anyone who may want to try and push in towards Fountain, over toward Archives. We know these are very high-valued targets for the attackers that they want to try and sustain. Just forces the defenders back even more so in towards Armory. And speaking of, that's where the remaining defenders are going to be located. One guy inside security. I believe actually Always has dropped now also. So it just leaves Joystick above, nobody in towards the Armory side. Always a spot, maybe need to go give Shepard a bit of a hand here downstairs, and they'll move in towards Customs. There's that Dokkaebi call, going to give them immediate information. The Blackbeard pushes through, and this operator, just look at him, one-man wrecking crew.
Well, he's found himself backed into a corner, but as they did before, Gen.G used that knowledge as a time to try and push on for the plant itself. There is a trade out. Always and Skies find each other, and the drop, the rotate round the back. Joystick, a huge potential position here. Gets one. Concerned about the swing from the next, but the Blackbeard is the one that has to step in and offer some support. They are in a great read here again because they are above, and the Blackbeard with the cross means that they can play this as cautiously as they like. There's the play on the plant. The Kiba is thrown in above. They're safe to go for the defuse demo. There it is, Shepard. Time and time again, Shepard is eternal.
Just hold F. That's all he had to do. Just stick it. He didn't care if he was going to die as long as he gets the defuse off. Honestly, the Izami, if it was any other operator, you'd be thinking, wow, this is going to be tough. You know, guy in a hatch. Yeah, rough for him. Uses the Izami barrier to try and block him off. I mean, the thing is, surely Dokkaebi could have just burned through the Izami barrier quicker than trying to go through the floorboards. Or is it just me? Is that me being nitpicky again? Is that me being a bit cynical?
A win is a win?
Yes, yeah, look, it's same result, I guess, for VP. It's the round win for them. They went for the Izami barrier. Again, just to play off that. Again, could Dokkaebi maybe just burn through that instead? I don't know. I think the bigger question is, where's the Blackbeard in all this? Where was he?
Yeah. I think that's the thing, because I thought the Kiba was thrown onto the roof, but I could have been wrong.
He was catching a flight. He was in Customs the whole time. He was
Yeah. So I'm wondering if... No, because even if it was on the door, then they could have just smashed through it. They're a Blackbeard. I don't know.
I don't know what
I just don't
He's being
know.
detained. He's tried to bring liquids onto the flight.
Tried to get on the
Silly
helicopter.
maneuver. Yeah.
We all know what happens. 5-3.
Oh, it's a big round. It's a big round.
It's been very aggressive, very guns blazing, obviously, which you kind of want from Border. We're going into Bank next as well, which is going to be more of the same, but neither team is obviously called a timeout. Both of them are sort of happy with the pace. Virtus.pro, they're not always the first to jump to a timeout anyway. They're always, unless they think something is going tragically wrong, they're like, oh, we'll just play it through. Like, we'll play it where it lies. But as the approach starts to come on the other side, you can obviously feel the, I'm not going to say fear here of Joystick, but they've done some great wraps, great pinches on individual players from Gen.G, and Virtus.pro keep getting around the back of it. We saw obviously the drop down the hatch from Joystick last round that sort of pulled it together. They attempted the same with Dan the round before that started well and then fell off a bit. Now here they're trying to just throw themselves directly at it to spray against it. Azox gets out of there. Smart move, but another slow. What a Gen.G kind of cooking here, Demo.
Well, it's similar to VP where they want to try and take in through East, but we know in this current meta, teams will put up a fight. They're not going to allow you into East. You'll notice as well, one thing is really common is smoke grenades being used early. Again, plants aren't really the main thing you look towards for Border. It's all about these gunfights, and having that smoke to try and just stall them out is great. But Gen.G, though, they've been able to respond with a lot of kills. The Blackbeard put in a lot of work. Still, VP getting their kills back where they can. It is going to be a 2v3, but look at Sky's, look at his HP. All it takes is a few shots, and he's going to be dead and buried. And Dan now will start to get tracked by said Deimos, and almost gets taken out through the wall, but still alive, and very easily fall back to the safety of some of those hard walls, and always goes for a swing. Oh, Sky's a great trade from Deadshot, has to be said. That's the important kill.
Yeah, massive. You can see he tried to turn tail and get out of there, and now we talk about who's got health left, and Dan, barely any. They're droning. They are playing this slow, as they should. 30 seconds. They're not going to mess this landing up, but I was going to say, have no idea where he is. Oh, now he has no idea that they know that he doesn't know that they know, Demo. So you know how these usually go? Quite direct. They're on towards the window. Gonna try and maybe drop the hatch as well, but as the reveal, they're on towards the pressure. 10 seconds though, and they need to double stack. Yeah, there's the drop on the hatch. There's now the cover. They can try and get the plant, but the player's down. Demo, it's all just down to one. He's pushing for the 1 versus 1. Asa, he made the wrong call.
Oh, not again. Another round that Gen.G have just poured down the sink. Oh, I thought, Asa, he needs to drop the hatch here, and if Dan can catch him on the drop. But it was actually him who he caught. It was his teammate. And then once that teammate goes down, Asa knows he can't plant. He has to play for the kill, so all Dan had to do was kill one of them. But I just think the positioning there of Asa, rotating all the way above, looking to drop the hatch, it was a rough call. I mean, that's a very difficult position, I think, for Gen.G to be in. Because yes, they know where he is, but the time isn't with them. And they know they need to plant. They had a choice. Do they play for the kill? Probably not, because he's a pretty far distance away. And again, it's tough to play with whenever you don't have that active info over towards Workshop, for example. But I don't know. Maybe Flood Free East, maybe? I don't know. Tough.
6-3 up here, Virtus.pro. And now we have the Blackbeard removed. It was a huge operator for a couple of those last rounds, but actually the only attack ground that Gen.G won, it wasn't present on. So, you know, it's sort of that comfort gone in some options. It's something that was having good in-round performances, but We could have been on a very different game right now if things had fallen had they could have. Little mistakes. I think those are Virtus.pro's. I think they call them a delicacy in Russian.
Now, the way I'm kind of seeing them probe over towards Archives, maybe Archives take could be on for them here as well. And whenever you have the blitz, I mean, you can go fast into office. There's those early smokes again that I keep mentioning. Just traps off those players pushing in towards east and does hit them ever so slightly. Oh, Shepard, hello. Hello, Shepard. Probably didn't know that Sky's already crossed over towards east. I think that was the issue.
We've seen a lot of players die from this position across this game. It is a common first played position. It's a first place position. As I said, the smoke dedicating towards it, you see it everywhere at the minute, but people I think are still trying to work out just where they can sit to not get shot, because it is also border, which is sort of the MO of border, is if you are somewhere, you can probably get shot from 5 other places. They have this man advantage. They've removed Shepard. Can they try and just get around to land? It's not the start that's the problem, as they get a second. Pasha gone. And Deadshot almost on a 2.0 KD. It's when things come towards the push. This seems very well put together, but the focus still needs to be on the plant, on just securing the coverage of the plant afterwards. And as Dan steps their way in, close and ready for the fight, the breach on Office side has been made. It's a jiggle back and forth, and someone adventuring outside. But this take is pretty well telegraphed right now.
Yep, just waiting for Azox to be that point man, has the diffuser. I mean, he could go Archives or if he wants to, but instead I think they want to try and use them to force those kills in through Fountain if possible, but VP are going to have to try and get aggro if they can, and that's a really good spot here from the Blitz, and you do expect that Dan will be a dead man any moment now. Actually turns away from the flash, but gets pushed right into that wall. An easy cleanup for Gen.G. I mean, we've seen that coming from a mile off, the push, just waiting for it to happen, and then it came. Good work from Gen.G. They stay alive.
Great work. It was very well put together. They got the early pick on the smoke. It was caught a bit out of position. Not entirely sure how the
early
second...
pick's big.
Yep, I think the second kill was just on AC window. So, again, it feels like Virtus.pro's positioning there was loose, a little bit scrappy.
Yeah. I think for just the way that round kind of played out for Gen.G, it's the thing about border, I think, on the defense, and Gen.G's kind of exposed that. I look at the defenses a lot as kind of like a Jenga, whereas if you take one piece away, the whole thing is going to collapse on itself. That's kind of what happened there for VP. They lose the East player, they then lose the Archives player, and they can't hold it all. You know, the guy in the Fountain has to hold about 5 different angles. You know, he just can't do all of that. The guy in Archives, he's just sat drowning just in front of those attackers. That's the issue, I think, with border is for the defenders, you have to try and get the kills back if you lose them. You cannot allow attackers to run up the numbers game, because they will punish you with the different crossfires that can be established. If you have that extra man on border, it is so vital. You point it out, border is a map with a lot of different angles and get shot from a lot of different places. You have the extra man who can do that job. Defenders can't breathe.
At this point, Virtus.pro, can they get this one locked out, or will we see a third overtime for the day across the 3 maps that we've seen so far? Gen.G, you know, the 2 rounds that could have, should have, would have been their way weren't. That doesn't mean they can't now make it land here. Everything to try and put a bit of pressure and slow down is not really the biggest slow. They've pulled things back, Virtus.pro. They're not going with those extensions here. Fully locking off his side, fully locking with the Kaid clause and saying, look, you've been doing these grenade bounces, you've been doing this pressure, fine. We're going to build a castle, fill it with electricity and C4s, and you have to try and do this the old-fashioned way. The old-fashioned way often meant a rotate round on towards CC instead. Go for the approach on a slightly different wall. They have everything that they could try and get round to it, depending on where the mute jammers are and the Twitch drone can get to. But the bisection here Goes to the floor. It's going to come through from the shield first.
Now these impact DMPs need to be on point. See if they can try and grab this K-Claw, but I still think the top's going to cause them a lot of issues. We know that, and instead of just trying to play around the top, they're going to try and kill him. Oh, what are you doing? Azox gets punished. Has got the wall open, though, for him. Oh, but that somehow appears a 1. Almost catches the second, but Sky's about half HP. But look at the state of that wall. They can't get in through triple. They can't even get in through archives. They've lost their hard breach. And this is a very tricky 2v2 that Gen.G need to problem solve. They have to walk in through doorways.
That is 3 for Skies, though. So now, using the time they've got left, they know one is entirely back to an electrified protected wall, and the other, well, that's the missing link right now. As Joystick with the cross inside Fountain. They're just going to plant. This is the perfect idea. The rip on the C4, because it's all on the BP, as you said. It's pinged out. They don't need to worry too much. Oh, unless Nako does something like that, revealed on the BP, and now they're going to go in, get aggressive, pre-fire the angle, pre-fire even further. Where was he going? On holiday? I don't know. But it leaves us in the 1 versus 1, the new location. A great play there from the man who really saved out the round there for Gen.G. Skies. Keeps them fighting, keeps them within distance. 1 round separates us from the end. 1 round separates us from another OT.
Humongous round from Skies. Skies struggled a lot on his defensive half. Really struggled to get into the game, but on the attack, he just came alive, and a big old round to keep his team in it for at least 1 more round. Oh my word, I mean, what a shot as well onto the Kate. What a shot. I don't know how they win it for this stage, by the way. I mean, an absolute mess of a round from all accords. Look at the state of that wall. But Sky's just the cheat code. I mean, even this as well, you kind of think, oh no, that they're going to give Shepard an easy clutch here, but look at this shot. Wow. Just sees that flicker of movement, and Sky straight onto the headshot. Oh, VP kicking themselves at lost this round. But to be fair, I mean, both teams have had opportunities to win out pretty easy rounds and have struggled to do so. Really, it's a lot of clutches this game.
Deploying bulletproof camera.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I think that's the strange sort of pacing that we have as an idea of this game is... Yes, we can point at rounds that could have gone one way or another. Yes, it's not lightning immediate 5Ks, 4Ks. It's still steady builds throughout the round. But that's just how these 2 teams are sort of playing into it. It's 2 teams that enjoy the chess element. That isn't chess. Driving your Brava immediately into the mute jammer is... I don't think that's a good opening gambit, but I don't really know chess. You know chess.
He's a great guy, chess.
Yeah. It's just... There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
6 to 5 and about to make friends with the shield. The blitz
the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now just for VP, they're just leaning into the traps, aren't they? I mean, they've got even more of them on board, and I think that's just because Gen.G have been pretty prolific in terms of bringing in the shield. So VP are just going to go all in, and this is where the Brava should get a lot of value.
Oh, this is where they start to apply this pressure. Round with the shield on towards above the site and offices. They tuck their way in, being hot droned ahead on both the archive side and Fountain. They're not leaving anything to chance, but they're focusing pretty directly on at least vertical control of Bathroom. However, with the players underneath, you can see that Virtus.pro, as I said it before, they went a bit traditional last time. They're doing the same here, keeping themselves at arm's length, keeping themselves moving and mobile, and utilizing the stairs and the rotation. And Gen.G, they're struggling to find the first piece of this to pull it. The initial step is a slippy one to make because you'll find yourself suddenly hurtling towards the end of the round, as Border likes to go. And with all the information that they've got, they just cannot seem to get anything on the back of it, I say, as we get a perfect demonstration of what you can get on the back of it.
Oh, great pinch. I mean, Deadshot's been waiting for that kill for ages, it feels like, and Joystick finally goes down. So Gen.G, they just gonna take their time, but they do get their reward, and that is 2 free picks. Haven't lost anything. Now they have full upstairs control, and now it's just a simple move on down, start taking other points to the map, see if you can move in for the plant. Oh dear. Please drone him. Oh dear, oh dear. Say it ain't so.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it ain't so.
Uh-oh. Well,
there we go.
2 versus 4 as Shepard does find a kill on the back, but he is close enough to C4. No, gets caught out and then gets dropped out. Yep, didn't quite thread the needle. We go into another OT demo.
Here we go. Gen.G have made the comeback. With 6-3 down, I think. Is it 6-3? So, yeah. Good job.
At this point, it's... you know, it's anyone's game to obviously piece together. I think Virtus.pro aren't worried about this one potentially devolving into 3 maps. You know, our Gen.G, it's tough to call, but its attack timeout does get called. And that was the Gen.G logo, so there we go. It was warming up. It was Virtus.pro. I mean, you would have assumed it was Virtus.pro on the back of 3 rounds lost. Yeah. Anyway, but frustrating for them.
Yeah, very much so. Just lost complete control. And Gen.G are just in a bit of a flow state. And I will say this much. I feel as though on the attacks, Gen.G have been far and away the better team. Like, there's also 2 rounds that really they shouldn't have lost, I feel, in this game. I suppose one could also be said for VP. I suppose maybe balance it out, but certainly Gen.G, I think, have dominated the pacing. You know, VP have really struggled to look in control in their defense.
It's very fair. I think it's the elements that we see sort of get taken away here from the holds of Virtus.pro because Gen.G has applied the pressure at the right moment. As I said, they take their time. They really weigh up their first route, and if it's something they can get immediately, as we've seen once or twice on their attacks, they'll take it. They'll throw themselves in. They're confident enough. But if they need a minute and a half, sometimes even 2, before they can run the numbers, they'll take that too. And generally, they've had a really good handle on just that opening kill game on their attack. They've taken the pressure very, very well into their stead. But have they grown into this with the second half and the 3 attacks threaded in a row? Defense have only been able to get 4 rounds total between the 2 teams. So Virtus.pro probably aren't that happy about starting on it. Only takes 1 moment, 1 round here. If they can get this though, they get the joy of going back towards their attacks. They're able to win out at least 3 of the 4 sites. Probably the only 3 that we'll ever really see.
See, Joystick has went for a bit of a wild card pick in terms of playing that Vigil. The main reason, I think, is just going to try and counter Skies on that Deimos. Again, Vigil, an operator that Deimos cannot track if he's using his ability. And I think Shepard knows that a player's already crossed over to the left-hand side, and Shepard again gets punished. I don't know if Shepard's the best East player right now that I've seen, because he's really struggling, isn't he?
Just keeps getting baited. Like, that was great, but you're like, oh, why are they just holding the trigger? That is why. They wanted to make them think that, yep, we're going to hope for this, and then they otherwise just don't move. And it wasn't helped by the fact that you can see why Shepard was in that position, as always gets killed, because they threw the smoke canister out and it didn't land exactly where it needed to go. Sky's just in the site, mate. Just in, off on his jollies. Come on, guys, get the plant in. What are you doing? I'm in the site. Oh! And that is filthy. There's 1. Tries to get the connection on the second, but very quickly surrounded. I mean, give this man a Gen.G medal right now. As I said, Deadshot's had a great map, but the attack rounds that Skies has clutched out has been phenomenal.
Fluid. Absolutely fluid from him. Just wow. No words. Gen.G, probably the easiest round they'll get all night. VP just collapsing at the seams. That's 4 defenses they've lost in a row. Just nobody from VP having a clue what to do. The timeout, good for nothing. Gen.G sit at taking the first map. And don't forget, it's VP's pick was border. So for VP, you need to win your map in the selection. And right now, they're not doing that. They have to win the next 2 in a row to make that a success. They will switch over to the attack now, VP, where they had a much better time. But we'll see if they can just drag themselves out of this slump and at least get a round back.
I mean, it is a slump. It's 4 rounds in a row. We talked about earlier seeing a fantastic 5-round run from Matchco that Falcon struggled to sort of stop and bring an end to. And here, Virtus.pro, they're almost at the same metric, but if they get to 5, well, the map is over. Then we head on towards Gen.G's pick. Sure, it's a risky pick, but this was a map that, as I said before, statistically, it should have been Virtus.pro's. And the homework has been done, so then it makes you curious, Demo, what is going to happen when we get to the map where they said, we've done our homework and we want to beat you on it. As now,
Camera ready to activate.
there seems to be another hold, but it's always worth noting that defense has been generically on the back foot. Only 4 defensive rounds, 1 of all of them that we've seen this map. It has truly been a feast for attackers, but it has been a long, long time since Virtus.pro was on attack.
And those early smokes to deny access to, of course, that east stairs take. No shield that Gen.G need to be concerned about, as Blackbeard has not been brought to the table. But still, that Dokkaebi, that is the ever-looming threat that we know that VP like to play with. Asha downstairs, see if we get value out of that DMR and try and shred on through the flooring. Shot goes for the peak and gets punished for it.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to get aggressive, tried to lean back in. I get it. Your position's under a lot of pressure at that point. You want to try and fight your way out. You know that they're droning onto CC, they're droning on towards Break, they're droning on towards everything around you. Why not go out with a bang? Oh, you did, but it was the one that hit you in the face. A minute. They have that opening kill on towards Deadshot. There's still a player inside CC. It seems like they want to opt and rotate round for a slightly different second approach here. There's obviously a strong gadget and gun game. As always, tries to find somebody on the CC side. Nako. The Legion has it locked down. Picks up, rotates. Slips on buys. It's all read out, and they're doing a lot to try and catch him, but they actually get his support. There goes Asa, top of metal stairs. And there goes Pasha into a frost mat. Used them as bait for just a second, sneaking their way up, but it's Azox that locks them out from underneath. Rotated his way up. Joystick gets the trade out on the kill. There's the reveal of the goo mine and always gets the pickup. My name is always. If I'm on attack on border, I will pick Dokkaebi and get a kill.
Well, again for VP, clean as ever. Sweeping through, using that Dokkaebi call. They know the positions, they know what they're after. The gun skill showing through. I mean, it's just a rinse and repeat copy of the other times they've attacked that bomb site. There is no difference. I think for Gen.G, they didn't adapt. Gen.G really tried to lean into the traps. You know, using that Legion, using the Frost, trying to slow them down, but still, didn't matter. Did not matter to VP. They just kept pushing forward. I just think for Gen.G on the defense, you need somebody to just step up and try and almost take a part of the map that will put VP under pressure. They just sat back and let VP just kept pushing. Never once did they think, oh, we'll try a flank. Oh, we'll try and take this part of the map. They haven't done anything outside of the box to make VP worry.
7-7. We are going all the way, but I mean, how many times have we seen this site up here? They obviously opted for bathroom tellers, and Sky's just drove himself in. said, oh, is this mine? Yes, and killed a couple of people. Virtus.pro, they've tried cautious holds on this site, they've tried stronger holds on this site, and none of them have landed, Demo. They have not had a single successful defense of the second floor site throughout the entirety of this showdown yet. What do they think they can change? What do they think they can bring to alter their fate? Well, it's the chance at traps, it's the chance at slowing, it's the chance at stopping swings, it's the chance at a lot of default. There's nothing to try and stop the breach immediately. To be honest, you know, I think they were quite good with the Kaid. It did force Gen.G into an uncomfortable position last time they were here, and otherwise Gen.G were just so solid at removing it. They're always bringing the ace and the grenades to put the pressure over the top as they start to try and claim top east.
Yeah, that shield. And they come again. Oh, and the opening pick will fall in favor of Gen.G, and that is good for them. Takes down Dan. And also taking down Dan's Goyos. That Twitch putting in a massive shift. And that's another opera which I think has gone really unnoticed, is how much value that Twitch has gotten in this game. I think Neko has wielded it really, really well. He's picked off countless bits of util, which will just help his team massively as they start to move in. And again, the drone work has been exceptional. You know, again, they know what they're after. Gen.G know exactly where they want to go, and they're doing the drone work to really put the pressure onto these VP players who, at the moment, again, are just fighting from behind.
Well, as Pasha finds Deadshot, suddenly it's leveled up, and Azok's taking a lot of damage. Is just offering pings. You can see Nako's coming around the back to maybe get a bit of a pinch, but it's Skies once again that finds another player. Always is gone. Pasha wasn't really sure if he wanted to give up that ground yet, but he has to pull back. A minute 10, and Office becomes under the control of Gen.G, but not a control that they can fully step into, obviously, yet. They're also going to try and push their way up towards Break. They have the man advantage. If they can try and put the pressure on, you look at the utility in the pockets of the defenders, and it is nothing. This could entirely be ended in a trade game if they wanted to try and force it that way. They have the blitz to bring some of this attention, but they know how delicate this final balance on border could be. And then, as I said before, heading into their map preference next, it could be something that really gives them a good bout of momentum. Pressure on Fountain. Nothing is going to be spilled out the side of it as they're just going to start to try and careen their way on towards the plant itself. They're obviously out of those Selmas, so they have to cross. It's entirely pulled back here from Virtus.pro. They're waiting for them to cross the divide. It's a spray through. The health is pretty much weakened on everybody apart from Joystick. The one missing piece of the puzzle pops a double. And now waiting for the pull round. What seemed like Gen.G setting up for success has been blown aside for failure. There's one. There's a post plant and a blitz alone. Has a 1 versus 1, but not for very long. He's trying to be aware of it either side, but Virtus.pro Demo, they do just enough because Gen.G pushed them to the brink. What a sterling acting performance, says my notes to read there. Great skin. Love the skin. The cosplay is fantastic.
I'm sure. I think Nick is co-streaming. Nick, let's stick to the day job, buddy. All right. I don't think the acting career's for you.
Listen, I have some creative notes, Nick. We could have maybe done a second take. we're only jibing him. The skin's great. Skin looks very cool, and the cosplay is great.
Bomb located
Anyway,
by attackers.
enough about that. Let's do this now. We're in. Thank you for bearing with us. Demo, what do you think about them bans?
Yeah, well, again, it's kind of what I expected. The Cade ban, yeah, obviously going to be a no-brainer. And then the double heart breach. Yeah, just pretty standard stuff coming in from both sides. So VP are going to have to work pretty hard to get these hatches open, of course, with only just having either thermite charges or the hard breach gadgets that they're probably going to have to try and work into their lineup, which they have done, so they've actually brought in 4 of them. Knowing that ban is, you know, obviously the Ace and Habana, I'm actually shocked that Gen.G also haven't opted for the little trick that teams like to do with the mirror windows, where they will place a mirror window on the default wall over towards server. so it doesn't allow the team to open up that reinforced wall and get themselves in. So that's another thing I'm a little bit surprised about. We see it work really well for a team like G2. I know that this is something that they like to do, and it causes a lot of issues for the attacking side. So yeah, it will give VP pretty good access into server and can open up the wall. So I don't think they'll be hindered too much by the lineup. And oh, look at this, the value from Pasha. He gets the 2 Goyo canisters that are close. It's only the one that remains for the hatch drop is up. So really good work from the Twitch Strong, finding 2 in a matter of seconds.
Well, with that gone, they can now try and get themselves thrust further and further down. There hasn't really been an extension on towards the top floor itself. As you said, there's been a decent bit of pressure, but it is a standard sort of lockdown here on towards servers. There's some of that steady pressure from that Deimos. Force the players down, get this clear, get your work done, and get your heads on a swivel down to push next at this point, because really wanting to contest this. There's a Kaid ban. The hatches aren't going to be the biggest problem to sort of bite their way through, but this area might be open with the barbs. The Keepers getting themselves that stretch and extension. They have some cover on the vertical that was opened up as well, but how surrounded are they? And is there going to be a bit of a heavy drop from the hatches? There is Pasha gone. Skies still on the tear of the previous map, but it was a quick blow to go now. And there's a break round on the back. Needs some support, or does he? Gets one, gets dropped. Deadshot swings round on towards always. A 3 versus 4. They keep the man advantage. They're watching out for the window drop as well. And the Deimos reveal is going to be something that gets them out of there, as Skies just keeps on killing Virtus.pro. Failure to launch it, Demo.
Yeah, struggling with just a simple open area hold. It's nothing new to these VP players the way that Gen.G are playing this. I mean, all 5 members of Gen.G were actually on the first floor. Nobody was actually inside the bomb site, so they really went for the full extension across, and it has paid off for them. They've had men to trade kills back and forth. I mean, certainly we've seen that with the Fuse. The trade was able to come in immediately, but I think for VP, this is going to be such a difficult battle for them, and it will be. Oh, I thought Deadshot was going to finish off there and then, but still alive, and yeah, we'll get it on the reload. What a simple round for Gen.G.
I mean, yeah, I think that's the simple is the perfect word for it, right? There was a steady approach. They knew where they needed to watch. There was really nothing that was contested on the top floor. It got down to the middle where it was a bit of a back and forth, but otherwise, from that point onwards, just sort of petered its way out all the way. At this point, they get a strong Gen.G start, and it's the same sort of names popping up, which you always do like to see in a continued series. Deadshot getting in, Skies getting in. They were so necessary for Gen.G's sort of growth there, and I mean, I think he opened the last map with a 4K, this time with a 3K. Deadshot tries the first in, and in fact, where it all kicked off is where it's going to end up, off towards open.
Right now. Reloading!
Let's hope VP can bounce back from that disaster of a first round, but Gen.G, again, just playing to the strengths of the operator that they have, with the defender bans being as they are. We know that it leaves operators like the Castle and the Azamiot, who we know are great for a map like Bank. It's a map, whenever you think about the extensions and, of course, the upstairs holds, plenty of windows, plenty of different angles that VP can utilize. But if you put, again, concrete barriers and castle barricades in the way, it makes life really easy for you. So, yeah, I'm liking the lineup from Gen.G. You've also brought in the Fenrir to kind of assist with any potential crouch walkers that are pretty common on a map like Bank. We know that. So, yeah, it's an all-round good lineup. IQ should get a bit of value, though. You got plenty of things to look for. Mostly those Valkyrie cameras, which he will do so in spot 1. But can't get it just yet. But this is good early information here from VP, gathering where that util is going to be situated and see if they can formulate a plan based off that.
Well, we've seen a lot of comments and a lot of moments of how people have been able to swing their way up territory here. The free real estate that often gets lent towards teams, especially on lobby, and it seems like they want to try and angle on towards it. There's obviously the castle to buy yourself a bit of extra swing space here, but with an early drift towards a fight that isn't being offered onto their favor, it's the movement behind that has to come together. No, says Skies. Gets the first with the C4. They almost lose the second as well, as Naiko just pulls themselves further back. The Azami's still happy to build and structure, could go for a jettisoned escape if they, well, now have that option. then they're just going to patch their way across and have some safety. Perfect play there. Perfect awareness.
Yeah. Strong operator, that Azami. Getting that portable cover. Can block off those angles, as I mentioned beforehand. But with that top floor hold route out now, it does allow the sledge to move in and start doing some of the dirty work and getting all that vertical action opened up. And certainly for Gen.G, it's a very passive take from them, similar to last time. It's seeing if they can really test the VP side and then simply fall back to the safety of their bomb site if needed. And with a minute left, I mean, Gen.G are in a perfect position. Full util still up. Got a C4 from Asa. Again, I'm sure the castle barricades probably haven't been tested. Ivor, plenty of VP still alive. Yeah, they've got everything right now. It's down to VP to see if they can move a mountain, essentially.
At this point, though, 30 seconds left. You're kind of wondering if this is just going to be a throw it and we ball and hope. There's still all this intel. There's a keen awareness on where they're setting themselves. There's some pressure coming up to this quad wall at this point, but you can't just shove your way in. As Dan might actually try and make that work. There is Joystick getting a kill on the back. There's Deadshot getting the trade out. 10 seconds and they're just full sprinting in towards a hail of gunfire. Not enough time there for them to get a more casual, collected approach, and another good round.
Yeah, Gen.G just playing it really well. I mean, VP trying to go for that attack without any pressure towards copy window. I don't even think they had hatch open. Did they have open area hatch open? I don't think they did.
I don't think so.
So, yeah, really easy for Gen.G. Just two very simple rounds for them to close it out. VP not testing the defense at all. Yeah, Gen.G looking good. But now they have to kind of pick your poison. Do you want to go another mid floor, which is, you know, isn't a very good bomb site, or you want to give VP their top floor? And VP are always pretty deadly in the top floor, because I've always mentioned before, VP, whenever they know where you are, they will throw everything that they have to kill you. I think they're a great team just for setting up these great pinches. And I think for top floor, with plenty of the long angles that you can get from the windows, it's going to be big for them. But Gen.G, again, the lineup, they understand bike really well. They know what are the good operators. Castle Azami comes in. We've seen how well those two operators work for giving that protection to the roamers. This can be done for the top floor. This is now going to be more site-orientated. Block off those windows, block off those long lines of sight. Even the Mira as well comes in, which we know is a great operator for that very reason, can patrol those windows and deny anyone from swinging into it. Look, again, VP will know how to play around that. You brought the Captow in for that reason, which is great at removing anyone inside of Janitors, but before you start firing out the player inside of Janitors in through that Mira, you need to start opening up the rest of the site to put pressure on them.
Gathering intel.
Now, there was a piece done by Leo at the start of the day about how much he hates Nook. It was very specific, and this was a case study. It was the ability of Nook to just go up here, not really achieve anything, and die. So I guess Virtus.pro don't care for the big brain of Alfamar. Instead, they're going to see if they can maybe try and make something happen and pull away from the awareness, which, to be fair, is something that has been a decent element. Sprinting along the side of a building. Shooting through an angle I didn't know was real.
Here he comes. Hard wire has been removed. An echo cam will be no good. Nook will perfectly counter that operator. Shepard playing on those windows. So I mean about the top floor, it sees angles, and here comes Pasha.
Deploying code.
I think this is the moment. This was the exact clip, the exact positioning. Oh, come on. Nope, not the exact same result. Shepard does get a kill in the meantime, but otherwise hasn't netted a reward, but it is drawing attention because the Nook didn't die. Skies finds Joystick, though. So suddenly the Nook has to keep on keeping on until Dan gets called out as well. Nook does finally find a kill, but it was back on the work of the team. It's not that they don't know the Nook is here, it's just they don't really have a direct to get rid of it. Shepard on the upside down rappel outside of the elevator player, but not being offered this engagement either way, so they have to rotate, reapply themselves and reassess. Pasha's hoping he gets gifted a fight. but nothing is being sort of driven towards them here. They're very passive angles of the last 2 players.
There we go. In goes the smokes. That should have came out a lot earlier, but maybe just waiting until Always gonna have a teammate with him, and somehow able to pick off Always, but still 2 people in. Yeah, weird round. I think there's the Nook really made it though for VP. Yes, he maybe missed that first initial kill onto the Echo inside of Elevator, but you look at the position he was able to get himself into. Directly into Banana. That helps him lock down angles into Janner, which is where he got his kill from. It helps him just lock down anyone looking to flank. It can hold down CEO pretty well also. It just gives him so much map control. And you can see VP just played off that. So yeah, pretty typical round, I think, for VP. Just the way they play in the windows. They take their time with it. They get that opening. They find that man in that strong position, and they work with him. They work around him. So yeah, VP, solid enough, but Gen.G, you need to be on top of that. You just cannot allow somebody walking up that spiral stairs as easy as what he did.
At this point, Leo, I hope you're watching. Nook, greatest operator ever added. You are just a French hater, which I believe is translated to hater. How's your French? Any good?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. Not all.
What is the best language you can speak other than English?
Spanish.
How much do you know a lot?
Una mesa, para cuatro, por favor.
I once got pulled on to a stream at SI Boston with the amazing Spanish speaking co-streamers, and I wish I could have said anything in Spanish or understood anything. It was very brief, and I wanted to...
Well, that phrase I've just said, that comes in really handy if you're looking, you know, for something to eat and you've got yourself and 3 of your friends. It comes in very handy.
Any other situations for it?
No, it's just this. Table for 4, please.
Maybe on a train. We have another approach here on towards the top and another lack of anybody. Remember how this round went last time? It was an absolute brawl in open. And I'm wondering if we'll get a slightly different deployment of, well, characters and then utility. Pasha is hoping to get the toesies over Skies that's been forced back towards the site. The Tachanka isn't going to sit around and find out what happens next. They have the hatches to drop on. They still have the 1 player in open. This time, Gen.G, they are playing this much more cautiously, Demo.
Yeah, it's because they kind of have to. You know, if that zombie ban coming in from VP, holding open area is a much more difficult challenge for them. So yeah, I just think that they've had to just give up control of it pretty swiftly. So that will be map control over for VP. But Gen.G, they thought, right, if we can't hold open area to waste time, let's just double down on the denial. You brought into the Tachanka now. So that operator with the lineups, we've seen it work really well for this basement bomb site. And you also have that smoke and the Goyo still up. The Goyo should be dealt with that fuse charge, so Shepard will hopefully make quick work of that. In goes 1. What's going on? Is it get frozen? What happened? Did they shoot it?
What?
What's he doing?
I don't know, but it's not the first time I've seen that.
I mean, hatch is open.
Yeah, the hatch is open. The hatch was always going to get open. Maybe it's a way to counter the Tubarão. Because if the tube has gone through, does it stop the fuse charges?
That's a good question.
Maybe that's why. So they deploy it to bait the Tubarão in, but they make sure that they also deploy the fuse gadget so the tube has gone through, so the pucks drop down and potentially kill the Tubarão. But I don't know the maths of if it stops an already
Look at this
tube. I mean, 15 seconds, and that's a horror show. Inside the site, they're trying to find a place to plant. They can't even cross without dying right now. There's a C4, perfectly shot. They're going for the replace, the shield on the back, the long cover with just a pistol, and they're gonna get it stuck. Shepard somehow finds it, the cover either side, a 3 versus 2. didn't have any other time, any other options. But a late deployed canister and fire canisters that were just kept at bay. They do get themselves into the 2 versus 2, but it's the last bit that's the nightmare. Just long-arming this, and as they lose the vertical cover, it's a shield they make friends with. That was as late as you like.
Wow. I mean, I don't know how VP have gotten through that. What? Did you see that? That was like...
That was everything.
It's like the apocalypse, wasn't it? That they had to walk through, and somehow they made it happen. The smoke still had one smoke grenade, and he didn't use it. I think he didn't use it because he was fighting people who were pushing him from the other side of the map.
Entirely.
So credit to VP. They done very well with their split pressure. They caused enough chaos to drag the attention away from the Tachanka and the smoke so that they couldn't use their gadgets to stop the plant. So well done to VP. Nice play. But how they get that down in the first place is crazy. Absolute insanity.
Well, the tag timeout from Gen.G called... You know, you could describe it as early. I think the main problem is that obviously Gen.G started quite strong in those first 2 rounds. Since then, 2 have gotten away from them. A 2-2-half isn't a nightmare, but they just don't want Virtus.pro to be able to build any momentum. They want to remember how close they could have got with everything that they'd thrown towards that corner and with everything they had left. Yeah, okay, the reason that they didn't operate is because of the pressure that came down. But we saw Virtus.pro to put that pressure on, having to full send pistols at dawn. You know, both the cover directly across from server, and then when we moved over to the player that had either pushed down green or dropped a hatch or wherever they were to get to the position they were in. It's just sort of last gasp, last chance hope. And that, as a defender, is your mark to be like, oh, we need to put the pressure. They're worried.
To locate a bomb and
They're scared. 2-2. No, back towards open. It's been 2 rounds one way, 2 rounds the next. Will they make their 3rd in a row here, Virtus.pro, or can the deadlock be smashed open by Gen.G? It's another, as always, pitter-patter approach from the top, and then you try and grow your way down. Now, last time this opened with a C4, but it was a really late final push on towards the quad wall, on towards the kitchen side. That is where Virtus.pro do not want to find themselves again. It's more of a hold up top this time round, but obviously there's more than enough time for these 2 Gen.G players to disappear, just feeding and stealing as much drone edge utility as possible first.
Yeah, I think it's a good combination. It's remove the eyes away from VP and then maybe see if you can linger downstairs with some C4s because they've got 4 of them at their disposal. So plenty of explosive power. So VP need to be wary whenever they will start moving in, of course, for that self-destruction. Mostly joystick is going to be the main target with all those C4s. Valkyrie camera set up, of course, to try and assist them with that and provide some information. But everyone is fled from that top floor there. Coming towards that mid floor, and VP have got once again what they wanted, that top floor control to start moving in. But in terms of time denial, there isn't really anything that Gen.G have. So I think VP, it just gives them a lot more to work with. So they're not having to be under pressure of, oh, there could be a smoke or a Goyo that could maybe upset us here. We can just take our time with it. And Shepard, he's just been on those windows patrolling like a warden, isn't it? It's like a prisoner's escaped and he's right on cue.
Deploying shock drone. Drone active.
At this point, now that they've been able to at least get a first on towards the Tubarão, it's a great gun for sort of trying to battle back against the approach, but there's still a lot of structural work to be done on the site, and that is being done now. Remember last time, that happened with about 20 seconds left, if that. They were full sprinting at the site to try and get it open. It might be the same if they can't quite get
Reloading.
the removal of the utility on the wall, playing the long angle. That's them a slight reward, but now the coverage of the smoke. Are they just going to try and send it across? They are, but Ooh, missed the final angle, Skies. A little bit of duck hunt. Doesn't quite get the second though. A 4 versus nobody. Virtus.pro. They had the support structure in place, so when it went wrong, they could make it go right.
Yeah, VP just getting way too much control of the map. Gen.G didn't really fight for that top floor. I think they left really early. And like I mentioned, they don't have any plant denial. So what were they going to do? You know, you think VP are going to be that slow? No. Maybe VP of old, I'd agree with, but this VP this stage, with the pace that they have now, with the players that they have, where they can opportunity spot really well, it's a different beast. So Gen.G, honestly, I think this Azami ban's kind of hindered them as well. I think Azami was being used as that kind of support and operator to hide behind, certainly for that basement attack. You know, that was what they were using really well for the open area. Just feels a little bit naked now from their lineup, and they're just trying new things, but not working for them. Really isn't.
4-1. Turns into a very quick end, but it was an end that sort of built itself up from why are they in a 4-1? What are they doing differently from the opening 2 rounds? They're operating quicker. They're able to get into these positions because, well, they've got that extra 20 seconds that they left and sort of lost looking for Gen.G players. And it's the strange sort of dichotomy of it, because before, Gen.G players actually weren't really offering anything up top. They were playing a bit hands-off. They weren't ready for the direct engagement. And here, Virtus.pro, 3 rounds in a row. They could get themselves the 4 to attack half. We could have the exact opposite, as we did sort of set before, of just sheer growth between these teams.
Look at the lineup from Gen.G though. It's not the strongest whenever you think of basement, especially considering what they had last time with just the heaps of denial. They are playing for kills. That is it. They are not going to be being able to rely and say, oh, we've got the denial guys, just run down the clock and we'll win based on time. Not going to happen. With that lineup, it's playing for kills. It's go big or go home. And let's just hope that they have it in them, because VP at the moment, they've been very punishing. I think they've taken the map control really well. They've always had somebody kind of lingering in a position to just hold crosses and put Gen.G in a very tricky position. Again, they will start to go for that top-down clear, and Joystick opens up the floor and finds the kill on Azox. And yeah, this is not where Gen.G want to be. Whenever they're playing for kills, attempting this run game, if they don't get the kills, it's going to be a waste. Like, they cannot drop. Look, they have to stay up here. They have to try and fight for kills.
Yep, and at this point, oh, they seem to have a decent impression of where you are. TuberAo misses the couple of shots on towards the drone, but they play with narrow angles and the calls start to come out. It's almost the sign of, look, we got to get out of here. They're still double stacked, hoping to try and put some pressure back on, maybe get one kill before they're entirely removed, but unfortunately, nada, no dice. And now, without the mute, well, you still have 2 C4s, and that's it. They are just down to that gun game demo that you sort of highlighted before. They've got nothing else to slow it, apart from maybe making them a little bit chilly with the TuberAo canister.
Really big fucking hole coming right
At this point, they have to propose fresh problems, and that's this, in towards server. The extension waiting to try and buy, well, at least another bit of time on the hatch itself. They're not watching out for that, though. Already 3 swing rounds. Now those players are isolated. They're having to go over the table and hop. There's one left alone in server themselves. Nako has to win this engagement. Does. Looks for the second. Either side of the wall itself. Cleverly played, and the grenade will force them further and further away. Gets them into a slightly fresh angle with the pistol. Dropped, though, as another falls on the site. Virtus.pro have just turned it on.
Yeah. Really easy for VP. I think whenever we've seen them, I mean, we both knew. At minute 20, whenever they dropped open area, getting no kills in return, looking at their lineup, how were they ever going to win that? All they could do is just pray that they have the best C4s in the game and pray that they just get the kills. But VP were never going to allow that to happen. You know, VP just played it patient, good drone work, being able to pinch these players over towards server, the hatch being opened up, kind of segmented those players from one another. Guys who were stuck in server were stuck in server. There's no getting back. So yeah, VP clinical round again from them. Gen.G have lost 4 on the trot. And they've also used their timeout. So they don't have a chance now to kind of slow it down if things get even worse now as they switch over to their attacks.
Well, I said it was the opposite. I was wrong because I forgot that Gen.G also started on their defense last time round. So we have an exact mirror in terms of a 4-2 attack half for Virtus.pro as we did last time. Gen.G is far from done yet. We saw what they were able to do on border. It's just an attacking kind of day. Difference is, Bank, I think, offers a little bit more structural integrity to the hold of Virtus.pro. It means that there's more to clear. It means there's more space to clear. It means Gen.G have to be more direct. And how many times were rounds won out by Virtus.pro that really shouldn't have been? The difference of time was a big factor. Gen.G, against the odds, have to step themselves in and step it up. Very, very even spread from the side of Virtus.pro, as we sort of said last time round. At the same time, unfortunately, Gen.G a little bit more hit and miss. They have themselves the castle, the stretch up to the top, the double shield removal, and the Kaid as the early immediate get-go just to limit the hatches. I mean, if Kaid's on the board, you're going to play the basement and try and get that locked in first.
Yeah. Also with the bans, Gen.G will have plenty of hard breach options for them, which we've seen VP didn't have that luxury, but VP didn't really care. I think they made it look pretty easy with the lack of a Habana and an ace. Gen.G, even though they get those operators available, they've still decided not to go for that and have only brought in just the one hard breacher in the form of the Thermite. So I think trying to open up that quad wall is going to be pretty tricky for them, no? Like, we've seen plenty of times teams where they don't have that ranged hard destruction onto that quad wall usually just get killed from people maybe swinging in towards tellers and archives.
At this point, they have time to waste, time to burn. As I said, it's a big potential problem here for Gen.Gs. They have to make sure that they're not scared. And what's less scared than just throwing yourself in with a bit of the cover there? They've broken their way across the front desk, and they're going to try and catch anybody that's otherwise hung around. But nobody's overstayed their welcome here, Virtus.pro. They saw the writing on the walls, and it was, let's drop down. They have the extension into archives. The wall is fairly solidly put together.
Get through that.
At this point, it does make it feel a bit boxy demo, but it gives you options here. You have that extension into server. You can play the extra space, and that's exactly where you want your eyes. Just on the long desk, just to keep this back line together.
You see they've got a triple mute jammer set up on the quad wall. They really want to lock that down, but it's not going to be any use for them whenever there is a Thatcher on the board, of course. They've even reinforced up the archives wall as well, moving in towards small office. So, I mean, hey, I think VP just really want to lock it down and say, you know what, we'll see if they bring it up hard breach. And speaking of, in goes the Thermite, accompanied, of course, with that EMP, and now always going to have to back out of his position, but instead chooses to stay under the safety of that Kiba barrier. But all it takes is just one player removing that, and he's gonna be dead. Skies, though, will open up. An opening pick on the Shepherd. 45 seconds. Looking good now as the second Thermite charge gets them in the small box, and always is really now in the hot seat.
Well, you might have to just carry on the end of this as... Oh, no, I'm back. Don't worry. There's a moment, and there is a moment. Skies sprays on, gets one. Oh, gets a second. Gifted on the quad wall. They thought they knew where they were. Joystick at least finds the end, but it's a 2 versus 1 versus 4, and he's sat at a grenade. Great enclosure. The Virtus.pro inside. The Bears had nowhere to go but to be watched at and then grenaded, which I don't recommend you do at your local zoo.
Yeah, VP just kind of sat on the site to die, didn't they? Didn't make any attempt to look for a flank maybe up blue. Even try and retake into archives and tellers. I mean, they reinforced that wall up. They just gave Gen.G so much map control. And then the Thermite comes in, can safely open up those walls. I mentioned before, it's difficult for the Thermite open up that wall if you are playing aggro into tellers and archives, if you're maybe looking for flanks in towards blue. But whenever there's nothing to worry about, it's so easy for Thermite just to move in, create those big holes, and just simply be on their merry way. Now VP, immediately thinking, okay, if we want to try and play the turtle strategy, why not go basement where the turtle strategy is very much viable? And I think that's what they're going to go with. You've brought in the Goyo as your denial. You have the smoke as well for the backup. I'm sure there still will be some form of off-roam pressure because you have got that Azami at your disposal. And we know that she just excels in that open area position. So it is something that Gen.G have to go through, but I don't think it'll cause too many issues, mostly because they've got 2 DMRs on their side. And we know the DMRs are great against the keeper barriers, can rip through them oh so easily. But Gen.G in their lineup looking a little bit explosive in terms of bringing in a Ying and a Sense and a Grim and a Fuse. I mean, operators which we know are very good whenever it comes to crowd control. But seeing all 4 of them used in conjunction, I think, will be fascinating to see. Again, I'm sure the Fuse is probably there just to burn away the Goyo canisters, but certainly the Grim, the Ying, and the Sense in terms of executing onto the bomb site. Now that will be a tricky thing that VP have to try and go against.
4-3 isn't a million miles away as Gen.G know time and time again they can only play the game that is ahead of them at this point. They have everything to try and slow it down, but Joystick, oh, just gets into the right ratty position. It's one of the things I was about to talk about of the combination of the Sense and the Ying. They're going to play and obfuscate their approach. But if you're not droning the first step, well, now you've lost the Fuse. The control of those hatches is gone. They've got at least a few pocket tin openers left, so that's not the problem. But without that sort of removal of utility, you think about those Goyo canisters demo, there's a lot of work now for the Twitch to do. You think about the potential play of smoke canisters or those ADSs. If you had the Fuse charges, a lot easier to clear. Not anymore.
Yeah, even just lose the man. You know, it's at this stage of the game, it's pivotal, you know, just to lose out on the extra man who maybe could be used to go for a backstab in towards Garage or maybe drop a back hatch. Similar to what VP were doing in their attacks. You see, whenever they had the man advantage, they were using it to almost drag defenders out of position to allow the planters to have a much easier job of getting the diffuser down. But Gen.G aren't going to be the luxury of that. Look, they still got plenty of util, but talking about util, the flames and the smokes, that's where it's going to hit hard, really hard here for Gen.G is getting through this.
Well, here comes that blind, that covering of the intel, the roll of the Candelas on towards the back, and I believe a Sense wall's gone out. I don't think it's fully connected, but you can just do this. Cover it with the single smoke canisters. They're baiting as much as possible. The Warden is more than happy to play a look-through game, but they are getting the plant secured, and oh, just outside the smoke. One's gone too far, one's not gone far enough. Threaded the smoky needle, and now, what a devastating moment. I have no idea how Azox was able to hold his breath throughout that, but with the hatch control and a 4 versus 4 with 30 seconds, they have to go for a retake, but look at this watch. Skies chooses his moment, gets one. Cannot get the cement on the second, but they are going to get the pickup during it. However, a nobody versus 3, because they did get a team kill at the end there.
Oh, Skies is loving that one, isn't he? Great little play there, sat in the elevator and lets them come up. But how has that diffuser went down with all 5 defenders up? C4 was still there for Shepard, by the way. Missed smoke grenade, has to be said. Missed a smoke grenade in the long angle. But still, or from VP to let that happen. All 5 defenders up and nobody challenging on. Nobody even died trying to stop the plant. Just let it happen. Nope. And we know that that bomb site, that diffuser goes down. 9 times out of 10, that round's going to be won by the attackers.
I think it was, you know, there was a strange moment in that round where the plant going so perfectly between 2 smoke canisters. I can see why you'd have confidence that they weren't able to plant, but those things happen. Again, I talk about these sort of million-to-1 shots. Siege is built on those. We've seen some of the craziest things happen in this game. And unfortunately, sometimes there's just a bit too much trust, especially when you still have the Warden to try and swing against the sort of coverage of the smokes and the ROUs, and a missed moment for VP levels things up. Forces forwards ammo. We're just cyclical in our day-to-day.
Back and forth. Gen.G, good that you get those 2 attacks under your wing. And for VP, with open area and basement not working out, top floor is where they choose to go. And similar to Gen.G, that castle and Azami are going to be the core of defending this top floor. Gen.G have obviously got that Sophia in to help with any castle barricades that could be a little bit tricky to deal with. And of course the Flores as well is always going to come in handy. VP backs up against the wall whenever this youth will start getting popped open. I think for VP, the main thing that they're going to want to try and do is just keep that Echo alive. We know Echo is a massive wing con a lot of the time. I've seen it plenty of times on this bomb site where just that one Echo can provide not only a massive amount of intel for how many people's in the windows, but just, you know, stopping the plant going down with the yokai drone. So I think that'll probably be the wing con. For Gen.G, it's just that steady movement of clearing away utility, slowly but surely breaking through the waves of defense that VP will set up, and then dumping in the utility you have from the cap tower, which should net them some pretty free kills.
Well, here comes all the pressure on towards Janitors, blinded by the smoke, and then that allows the breach to potentially happen. You can see they're half aware of it, but it sounds like something was still able to pop off. However, you can't just hope. Throw things and see if they stick all the time. Here's the approach from top square. But with just 2 on the windows, the kid on the roof, they're really trying to find that first route in. There's more coverage. Reveal of the drone. There's one for Nako. Pulls back. Gets hit by an Echo drone in the same second, but as Skies finds Dan, it's Joystick that needs to activate. This is the first. But as the second reveals themselves as well aware, and it's a flawless for Gen.G to pull themselves into the lead.
Yeah, brilliant. Again, they knew exactly what they wanted to do. Put pressure on the player inside of Janitor. 3, 2, 1. Util goes in. Swing comes out. Kills, kills, kills. VP. Nobody responding with kills. They just sit there and let it happen. Just a real lack of any pushback from VP. Just not looking to swing, which is unlike them. They look scared going into these engagements. They're just giving Gen.G everything. Absolute disaster from VP in the defense, but Gen.G in the attacks, really good stuff. I mean, the one round in the basement playing from behind, how they get that off, I don't know. That round was just great. They, similar to kind of what I said whenever we seen them on border, it's very obvious what Gen.G are going to do. You can see their push coming from a mile off. It just doesn't seem as though VP have that same feeling.
It's been such an attacker-favored showdown. It relentlessly between these two teams, seemingly they are happy on one side of the game, and it is attack. And then they just keep finding... It's almost like they have a great strat book on each other, but unfortunately, not a lot of awareness on their opponents. There's missed moments, fine, but again, what we're seeing here from Virtus.pro is rounds going away from them. And I said it at the start. On border, they were able to clutch out rounds that probably shouldn't have been theirs. That's what happens when statistically they're on the back foot. We all saw it happen. And I wondered if it would be a problem for Gen.G, but it's actually proving more of a problem here for Virtus.pro because there is this different level where, because Bank is one that requires a lot in terms of team coordination and communication, when these things are connecting here, instead for Gen.G, it's just the divide is bigger. Virtus.pro find it tougher to sort of fight their way back in based on some scrappiness. And oh, we're back down to the basement with the smoke. There's obviously no Tachanka in this sort of split. The Sens has been banned, which is such a specific removal for a single sub.
Oh, VP need to do something different. And without that Azami, how on earth are they going to be able to hold that open area? Well, very similar to what Gen.G had. You just can't. So I think it'll be a very loose roam from VP, and we'll drop down immediately as soon as any bits of pressure get applied. And oh,
hey, there's a bit of pressure.
Well, trade still, but you've lost the Warden, who, again, you'd like to have whenever we know that Gen.G like to smoke out this bomb site. But still, the trade is good, though. Removes the Grim off the board, so at least that's something to say. But I don't know who this favors. A Grim for a Warden? I think probably favors Gen.G. Just because that Warden is crucial. Would have had the C4 as well for that bit of denial. But still, all to play for.
At this point, as you said, the loss of the Warden, the loss of the Grim, it's a pretty direct sort of trade out. There's tracking on people that have already long since left. A lot of limitation here could come from this. They're doing the fuse charge first this time round. They're also doing the fuse charge second this time round. Are they going to do one more? No, those Goyos still solid.
Yeah. I think people forget that the fuse blocks are a little bit RNG based. You don't know where they bounce. So it's either a hit or a miss. You still got one, but that's not the issue. It's the two closest to the door. That's the issue.
Well, the breach on towards the hatch itself, the focus on server. This one should be able to get.
Yeah, should be. There we go.
Remaining
Nice.
fire. That means they've got about a minute to get this breach in and try and get the plant done.
That's good. So Gen.G have got everything dealt with in terms of util. There are still those pesky smoke grenades, but you've put yourself up in really good time for Gen.G. You know, a minute left. Smoke grenades are only going to buy you about 30 seconds of time, but maybe the yokai drones could come in. I don't know, but I think VP are going to need to think of something. I just don't think they have enough denial here to really stop this in its tracks.
Well, this is a 3-2-1 if I've ever seen it, when you can hear the sort of whir of the ADSs as they're sat patiently above. There's a good catch against those ADSs. A little bit premature on the first bolt, but the drop comes around and the second does as well. They're hitting the hatch heavy, hard, and caught out in the smoke. Azox, you're not going to live, mate. You got to get out of there. And can they even find a route out? It's sprayed over the top. They're stuck, sat, watching. Nowhere to go but drop down there. And now with the kit covered in 10 seconds, it's just got to be a full send. They pull back. The Echo drone is reading all of this towards them. There's always now also on the ground alongside Joystick. It's a 2 versus 1. And I mean, all the way to the limit, but I think it was a single Echo drone that was the dictator of how that round played out.
Just looked as though the fuse panicked. He went in for the plant. Yes, the smoke grenade's going to come in. We know that. Then he just kind of frantically ran deeper into the bomb site instead of just pulling back and just waiting and then planting again. Said the VP didn't have enough util for the time that Gen.G still had on the board. He just panicked, and then we kind of seen a moment where he's just sat on the rotate and is like, well, what do I do now? Can't do anything. And yeah, then the time gets away because they hesitated. They wasted time themselves. Yeah, tough round for Gen.G, but VP still hold on. You see this from Shepard's POV. I mean, great swing, takes at that Capital. Little tap shots as well. Onto Asu, who's trying to go for the replant. 5-5. I mean, what a game, what a series we're having.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb. 10 seconds to insertion.
Happy for it. I'm surprised by it, but I'm happy for it. And it's always going to be the arguments when you have this sort of step up is it because one team is stepping up? Is it because one team is falling behind? And it's always hard to gauge, I think. But Gen.G have been brilliant today. And
yeah. So we're a match go.
Yeah.
Like, I think both the series, you kind of looked at it and thought, oh, it'll be like we had last week, where VP dismantled Matchco and then Falcons dismantled Gen.G. You kind of think, oh, we might have a similar day where it will just be quick for the bigger teams to chew up the 5th and 6th place teams, but no. Both of them have really gave it a really good shot at VP and Falcons, you know? And I think Gen.G still in it.
Well, it's the thing, it's like, it's still going on. Obviously, if Virtus.pro win this, it's a 2-0 as well, but it's almost a shame that it would be for both these teams to be on a 2-0, and Gen.G, they're still not there yet. They have more than likely the chance to pull this one in. They're about to have a fight on the CEO desk as Dan takes a lot of damage, but Pasha Had the crossfire there, waiting, baited for them to slip their way in, but as they drop their way down, there's still damage done to the pair of them on the top floor. Dan even more so, but he finds Nako in the meantime, and he will also hit the hatch, and 2 bodies, the sledge and the glass removed. Bit of a blow without a catch on either of them.
Yeah, the sledge is a big one, because now how do they get in towards Stellar's Archives? You know, how are they going to be able to clear players out? Looks as though that actually VP have just gave that anyway, because everyone's just in sight. So VP not even looking to extend where they could have easily have done so. You can see right now, Ass is literally going in blind. You know, he thinks someone's over here, but no, nobody's there whatsoever. Now, the wall has been electrified. They have got the Maverick, but I think Maverick in this wall, whenever there's 3 players ready, is going to be pretty risky to go for. So I don't see this wall getting opened up. I mean, if he goes for this, he could very easily die, but we'll see. See how this goes. Little hole. Ho-ho! Dan gets caught out. Never mind. Asa has also trapped somebody inside the castle barricade, but more holes being drilled, which are now working against Gen.G. Oh my word. What's going on? Gen.G, another one. Jesus, Maverick got these kills. They should be dead.
They have just gotten 3 kills from 2 holes on a Maverick wall, on quad wall. And now the power is in their favor. It's Joystick and Shepard left. They still have Azox above. They're going to go for the blinds and the cover. It's a Ward more than happy to watch the hatch, but they're not really coming from that route. So there's the watch over the top. Shepard gets chewed up, but Joystick's the first one spat out and can't stop the plant. Virtus.pro, what happened?
It's despicable. Absolutely despicable that VP have just died to that. Maverick's just sitting there, just drilling away. And just, I don't know how he's alive. Everyone will agree, if any of us tried that in a game, we would be insta-dead. You can't get away with it. I don't know how VP have let that happen. I really don't.
It's tragic.
Wow. 3v5 just gone.
Tragic and frustrating. 3 kills to 2, maybe 3 holes on a quad wall Maverick. And I don't know, like what do you sort of say about it? This first one is a standard way. Have someone watch on a hole, be ready for it. It's a surprise, you might not hear it, fine. But then this.
Swapping map.
Like, what's he doing? Just prone. Oh dear.
Well, we said it wasn't over yet. Sure isn't. Gen.G. 1 round separates them from taking us to not our first overtime of the day, but does give us the option of a 3rd map for the first time today, which, I mean, as we said it before, even if this goes into Virtus.pro's favor, it has been so well earned from Gen.G to at least deserve that best of 1 potential, that final fight to keep themselves progressing for those precious, precious SI points. Doing a bit of crime always pays.
Always has to pay? That's not very fair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, well, I guess he's on... I mean, if they steal an ADS, then I can do the line.
Obviously for Gen.G, it's a nice pickup having that Brava. Whenever the Maestro has been brought in by VP, immediately taking away the eyes in the sky for them. It's good. And I think for Gen.G, the way that certainly the top floor went last time, it was clinical. You know, straight to the point. They knew what they wanted. It was targeting in towards Janitor, making that player feel very uncomfortable. And this Maestro has not gotten really any value. Has he lost all 3 of his cameras by any chance?
I
think he has.
Hope not, but I wouldn't be surprised because they're the most delicious prize for any Brava. It's great to get an Echo drone, it's great to get any of that stuff, but getting Maestro bubbles, A, easier, B, funner. Because they don't always have the impacts to try and get rid of the utility. You bring things to counter Maestro bubbles on the attack. You don't always think about that on the defense. Yeah, they have the impacts to deal with them, but they don't want to use 3 impacts. to remove their own stolen utility.
Adding some protection from grenades.
Well, that's going to be a problem eventually.
Eventually. But he can keep just juggling it at the moment. But as soon as that janitor wall gets opened up behind him, he will have to let that VP go and get out of there. And VP will go down, and he himself also moves. But no, never mind. The wall didn't get opened up. He gets shot off by somebody in the site. So now with janitor still being shut, and with no capital on the board, no real operators to push these players out of that position, how on earth are they going to get through that?
It's a 5 versus 5 with less than 30 seconds left. Demo, I think we're about to be off to the races, so let's get a trotting always. Gets the first there and removes Skies. There's the swing for Pasha on the second. Wants to try and find a third. Does. It's a 5-2. Suddenly things have entirely fallen away. Demo, I know it's a Tim and Des saying, we go into overtime.
I was going to do my Tim impression, but I thought better not. I'll not wake him up.
Save it for if, I mean, someone's got an awakened Tim. They're on the 3rd game today, but save it if we hurtle into the max OT, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, VP sat in their hands. Didn't give any picks away this time. Very obvious. Janitor, again, was the target for Gen.G. But they didn't bring any operators to remove said players in Janitor. Their idea of doing so was to just open up the wall via hard breach using the Selma charges. Selma gets shot. What do you do? That's the question. What do you do, Gen.G? Gets shot. Now what? And really, they just didn't have an answer. So, lacking in that department of how do we clear somebody out of Janitor? You know, we've seen the Captain work really well for them last time. This time, not there. So, a little bit puzzling. They knew they had to go upstairs. They prioritized going for the hacking maneuver of getting rid of the cams using the Brava. But then you're weaker in other departments. Well, anywho, we have the side switch now. Gen.G will go back in the defense and VP on the attack.
VP probably very happy with that. I mean, let's be real. It's been a pace of a day. Attack side of the sides. They could push this one over the edge. 4 games. 4 OTs. Just relentlessly competitive siege.
Drone's up and running.
There's also the possibility that of the 4 games and the 4 maps we've had, I mean, what? Map 1 was 8-7. Falcons was 8-7, 8-6. If this goes to 8-7, of the 4 maps demo, we would have seen all but 1 round.
Yeah.
Which is an insane set of series.
This is where he wants it to be, though. In the playoffs.
Yeah, we might also see a 3rd map as well. As I said, I definitely think Gen.G have earned it.
Well, in terms of their defense, see if they can earn it with the lineup that they have, which again is playing into, of course, that denial. The Chanka, Smoke, Goyo being that core. But without that, Azami holding open area is just going to be a no-go. So they have to, again, waste time. And hopefully they can rely on that utility in the later stages. But yeah, I like this better from Gen.G. It's having that denial rather than what they were doing beforehand on the basement, where they were attempting to just try and play for kills and not bring any denial operators. So yeah, will make VP's life that much more difficult. Speaking of VP, they have got control now off that mid floor and can start working their way over in towards the hatches and start burning up some of this util. Again, that tub inside a server, wasting time in that server hatch just buys them just a little bit of extra time.
Buying extra time is a great MO between these 2 teams. As we said, it's been some failure to land, and yeah, attacks have the preference, but usually it's either been like flawless perfect strikes or somebody's got into a great position and punished them for it. And this is it once again. The Zote canisters buying as much time as possible. They can't quite rotate, so they are slightly separated, but they have some support. On the blue stairs, they could swing their way out. Virtus.pro not entirely focused on it as of this moment. They can now have the reveal on the 2 players. Okay, feed that to the rest of the team. The pressure down green. They have at least Those two cut off, and it seems like a bit of a full send, but the smoke stepped up aggressive. I would wonder why they're doing this, but look at the time demo, 30 seconds. They're going to see if they can try and get these two kills and get their way down, but then you still got a Tachanka to deal with. You still got the pressures of the site, so these two holding on to server has been absolutely massive. It's about to come down to a bloody swing at the top of the stairs. The Dan wins out, but it's go, 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 go. You got to get going. There's the drop on the fire, 10 seconds, and that's the man with the kit. He's not even in range. No!
Run!
Can he even make it? He's got to sprint as fast as he can go. 2 seconds, and he gets there to hold F, but it's a 2 versus 2. Dan has all the cover that he has to land, and Sky somehow gets the fadeaway in the smoke. Always hits the ground! And they can wait, take a breath, and reveal that the player is down. And that is a Gen.G round.
Oh my. Skies again. This guy is absolutely insane. Even if VP win this series, Skies is my man of the match today. He has been electric. Massive reason why his team has been in this series is because of him. The plays he's made out of this world. I've always said he's the best player in this team, and he has been since this team made their appearance last year. He was a wanted player. I know that you know, the French Wolves, they wanted him. He was sought after by quite a few players because or by teams because he is so good. Obviously, the server players, I was thinking, you know, if these guys can get a kill each and trade it back into a 3v3, that's great. But even the fact that it went a 5v3, you kind of think, oh, I don't think that's going to be enough. But then this guy just steps up to the plate again. Absolutely insane. Yeah, VP, just time got away from them. It did feel as though there was a massive panic, though, from VP. Players just threw themselves into the bomb site. Just threw themselves in, just in hope that they can die for that diffuser going down. But whenever Skies is hitting nutty shots like that, what are you supposed to do? 19 and 8. So far above anyone else inside of the lobby. 8 kills ahead of Pasha.
I mean, he's currently, for the series, 33 to 22. What's the best of 3 record? 56?
So yeah, something like that, silly. Yeah.
So, depending on if we get there. I mean, he could definitely get himself close. Either way.
No, he won't now. You've said it.
No. Yeah, you're all right. Okay. But Virtus.pro could lock this one out in 2. Now I've said that, who knows? I've put a thumb on either side of the scales. Ha ha ha. Virtus.pro held at bay for such a long time last time, and now they're going to try and do the same. They've got Joystick once again playing a little bit of a looser role here. Skies isn't far away from Joystick. Happy to go for the swings. Joystick on the hatch. There's pressure that's coming from the window, and he's just gone so early. Within a minute, Gen.G have been able to wrest control of the rest of the map.
In goes the shield. Seeing if he can find anyone in open area, but that is a ghost town. DP have left pretty early. DP themselves have got that smoke and Goyo combo alongside that echo as well. Now, obviously for Gen.G, we thought they were in a pretty good position the last time they were down here, but in the fuse, had a bit of a panic moment and all came crashing to a halt at that stage. I think with Gen.G and the change-up of some of the operators they brought in, you know, they're lacking that fuse now. They don't have maybe a twitch. Those Goyos, you need to get nades in to remove them. That tub obviously causing issues. Now, the fact that he's used a nade on a bit of barbed wire at the back take question mark?
I mean, it shows the confidence of, yeah, we got to get in that. It's obviously come off the fact that they've been able to get themselves deep here, and you can see the kit's making its way over towards elevator. So, yeah, I think you're right, unless they're still probing. But with 50 seconds left, as I said, the kit goes round. It is a full send on towards that. They getting the elevator breached open, 40 seconds. Havana is very slow, very noisy, and now very revealed to be joystick. What do you do here? Do you keep on with the back take? Do you full send it? You've got to, because you've already dedicated this much time and utility, and at this point you will be able to rotate your way back round. There's the ping, the reveal of the hatch itself. They're going to try and throw down something to obscure the motion, but Asa wins out the first, and Pasha knocks them right back in, but the shield is down, as is the kit, and as is always now hits the ground, but it's a bite through. Every hatch hit and 2 left inside gold. Where do they go? Right into his shield as Dan's able to win it out, but there's the trade and they're going for the plant itself. There it is, Gen.G! Take us to our map 3, the first time we have got their demo across the playoff games you and I have cast. And it has been bitterly fought the whole way, and I don't think that's stopping soon.
We started the evening off with this map, and it looks as though, certainly for me and you, we will be finishing on this. So, kind of came full circle, as many things do in life. And yeah, Gen.G on Clubhouse. I think it's one of the few maps that actually brought them a bit of joy throughout the regular stage. And like we mentioned before, there wasn't a massive amount of that, but it's a map that I think that they enjoy. It's a map that they will go to if they can. We have seen both of these teams play this map against one another in the regular stage, and VP beat them 7-3. Now, obviously for Gen.G, it's the different team, what we're seeing today, than where they were in the second play day. So there is a massive difference now that VP have to go up against. Gen.G have found a bit of form. They've came into it with really good motivation. You know, players are stepping up. It's completely flipped on its head from where we were, even at the start of today. Like Des mentioned, we're expecting 2 games that would be pretty sure things, where Falcons and VP would go in, win their games, and we'd go next. But Ashcould came out swinging. Yes, Falcons still won, but still, they played well. Gen.G have taken a map off VP. And honestly, I don't know, there's something in the air right now with Gen.G. It feels like it.
Initiate jammer.
Well, in the immortal words of either Phil Collins or a monkey playing the drums, let's see if they can beat themselves to this rhythm. They have. Another set on the attacks, Virtus.pro. We've had a very attacker-sided day. It's going to be something that maybe plays in towards their favor, or will they start to run out of steam? Remember, the winner of this still has another series to play after this. Their day is not done, and their league sprint might be at that point. Virtus.pro have to try and just find that little extra special something. They're trying to feel things in the air tonight's demo.
So, Gen.G are going to make things very difficult for VP with a double hard breach ban. Maverick being a little bit across between a hard breacher and of course wall denial, because again he just removes the wall entirely to deny it being a thing. So yeah, VP are probably going to have to try and work their way in for a bandit trick a lot of the time throughout these first opening rounds, and certainly that's what they're going to have to go up against, as Asa is on that dreaded bandit, and with no EMPs either, it will just be a case of you need to try and go below to remove these bandits, or maybe try and nade him from the window, but then they have no nades, so really it has to be the buck downstairs. That's the way they have to get rid of him. So always, eyes are probably going to be on him for a small period in this round.
At this point, the first engagement is one that I'm not going to say is proving elusive, but it might be about to be pinched. They're going to, in fact, remove the pipe and not go any further. I think they felt, or maybe got the intel, that more pressure was coming around to support the player and didn't want to full send, in case they found themselves suddenly stuck. Deadshot just gifted that fight. You know, they thought he might be on the other side of it. That's why they opened it, but Deadshot just held it. Got the free pick onto Always, and now, do they know about Asta? No is the answer. There's a second. They're going to C4 into the bathroom. Does it get shot out? And there's the trade from Pasha, but it's picked back up from the top of the main stairs. The cover of the smoke works in their favor. Deadshot caught out, though. They should be able to get the pick back up on the player, but nowhere near how Virtus.pro wanted this approach to go, and they just had no read on where the players were in. But think about the site that we are off to at this point. The Mute and the Bandit gone. You still got the chance and some of the pressure onto the walls themselves, but with 3 smoke canisters and a Twitch that struggled.
Yeah, missed the bandit charge. So that wall is not going to be opened up in CC unless they have another one, but I don't think he does. So yeah, they have to try and force their way in through construction, and that's going to be really difficult. Oh, both the Selmas get eaten up by the Wamai discs. So that means the top red wall will remain intact, which is great for that smoke who can just sit there, toss out the toxic babes as they come. Pasha, though, has been able to kill the smoke. What's happened?
Pasha's just thrown himself in. Shepard's going to go for the plant with the cover. Pasha's top red. That's the position, and then just traded out by Virtus.pro at the end there anyway. Was a little bit confused as how that ended, but it ended. And it's a Virtus.pro favor there, but weird round from Virtus.pro's sake. They seem to not really know where anyone was.
Yeah, that's... I don't really know what to say about that one, because that is a round that Gen.G should have won. You think about the positional sense for VP. They could not get CC wall open. Yeah, so they had to push in through construction. You have a smoke. The easiest time for a smoke is just to sit there and smoke off the door in the breach. They have died to somebody just grabbing around downstairs the lounge or barbed wire for that smoke, yet he dies to him. One player gets dragged out of position where he could have played anywhere. I mean, that main breach is shut. And they've died, and as soon as that smoke's gone, it opens up the site and just they flood in. You know, I don't know how Gen.G have let that one slip.
Ready.
Usually they're the ones punishing those rounds, but I guess there has to be a turn of favor at some point. It's a false start for Gen.G. And you almost worry that maybe that's going to be something that starts to haunt them a little bit. But to be fair, the fact that they're once again starting on their defense, they'll probably be once again trying to pull this back from a deficit and can once again get to a story of success. They could not have been more tried and tested for this exact situation. Dan, pressure on the windows, and they're going for a, you know, it's a decent dedication of utility up the top. The Fenrir gadgets to just catch anybody on the swing round, buy them the awareness, mainly so they can have the time to leave more than swing actively in towards them. But with the shield being there, with a quick break here on towards the top, at this point, when are they going to slip away? Doubling down with the Selmas, just to get the pop removal. They have Shepard to try and get rid of any of the hatches if need be, but they have to keep them alive a tad longer.
Here we go.
Going live.
VP. Joystick on the blitz. Always a fun operator to see him operate. I think back to, actually I believe it was against Gen.G. He played the blitz and he had an absolute disaster class and didn't really see it for a while. I think he brought it out last week and he actually was pretty good on it. So see if he can keep that form again as he very swiftly moves on through. And it's just the power of the blitz. I mean, this operator, what he brings to the table in terms of clearing maps, just so fluid. Has that speed against all the other shields. If he does meet a roamer, that roamer will be dispatched off very quickly because he has a built-in flash. Yeah, just top-tier operator for doing what he's doing right now, just taking map control.
But it takes more than map control to win out club. And at this point, when they've got themselves steady in, where are they going to try and push this further? They could obviously angle towards oil. There's somebody that's not too far away, and that's a very cheeky bulletproof, tricky to get rid of without overextending yourself. So they have to clear this next station first, and with all the goo mines there, well, they're out of there. Pre-fires themselves back a little bit, but it just buys more time. 50 seconds demo. As far as I'm aware, they still need to get all the hatches, which you can start to see pop off there. They still need to get themselves pressure on towards main, and Virtus.pro just might run out of time here.
It's slowly ticking away, but I think if they start getting the kills in, you know, VP fashion where they just appear with 5 kills in a blink of an eye, and who knows? I mean, always has been down, but still can get picked up. And the question is, do they have any Goyo canisters placed for kitchen drop? I don't think that they do, so really a C4 is gonna have to be the win con here for Gen.G.
15 seconds, and there goes Pasha. Dan almost follows suit, but the kit needs to be the one that makes its way down. It's just a blitz screaming its way through towards the default, gets dead shot, but they've covered the door. Down with a team kill, down with another team kill, and it's the fire on Moto door demo. They didn't need it for the hatch drop because they didn't take the hatch drop. They tried to send it Moto, and the single Goyo stopped the door.
Why would they go Moto? They know that there's going to be a Goyo canister there. Kitchen, there isn't going to be one. Just drop it and plant. I mean, your shield went long as well, was inside a church. That means nobody's going to swing you from the church holes. Weird decision there from VP. Hey, it's the play that they made, and they're going to have to live with that. So Gen.G winning off of time. I mean, Gen.G were not in a great position, let's be fair.
Swapping mags.
They just lost full control where it came down those 30 seconds. I mean, again, somebody just walking down long. We've seen that a few times here today. Shouldn't be happening, but it did. But hey, they're very fortunate that the Goyo canisters were placed well and were shot well enough. And yeah, wins them the round from it. So, Gen.G, 1-1.
10 seconds remaining.
Start, and it's back and forth, but they've already done what is kind of awkward on this, which is win a strong defensive round. The pressures of time was just consistent.
Attackers are moving.
Apparently unending for Virtus.pro, and that's going to be something that they might not face as much here. There's a much shorter route depending on which one you opt for. And as the spray comes out, just hoping to catch them loose. I think that was from above more than below, but they're cautious of below just as much. Now, the steady pressure on towards the window. As I said, it's going to be a much quicker punch towards the final finish here as they sort of flirt with their way underneath. How much are Gen.G going to draw their focus on towards the CCTV cache side? They still have a presence on red. They still have a presence just leaning through and pre-firing, but it's the breakdancing man on red that gets the drop on that, and well, they can transition their way across the window because they still have a Clash, and Clash is now the front force. Clash is the one that they will all spot. A minute gone, they haven't really been able to get into the building, I say, as they take their first steps on CC, and the Clash can move back, but also, most importantly, move back whilst being entirely covered from these angles, the one that are opening up. They tried to get that Goyo canister, but too far gone at that point.
VP taking their time, and Gen.G more than happy to let them do so. Gen.G are playing into the fact that they have obviously got the Goyo canisters, which worked well for them last time, but also the Maestro cameras, which, if unchecked, can provide some form of plant denial, because those lasers, they do chunk for a decent amount of damage on each hit, so it is possible to finish off a round just based on the Evil Eye zapping someone. So I think that's the idea here for Gen.G, and of course the Clash just has a bit more crowd control if possible. But VP just slowly but steadily working through it all, getting rid of Goyo canisters, hacking Evil Eyes where they can. And still a minute left. I don't think VP will be going for a jump in just yet. And that all-important opening pick has went in the favor of VP. Down goes the castle.
Now, with 40 seconds and the eyes on the potential proverbial prize, flashes and pressure on towards the back, but Dan threads onto Azox. Now the Clash steps their way in, close for the fight. The shield is off. They know the window will be watched. There's somebody underneath as well. There's one, there's two! Almost saw a teammate, and what a swing round. Did not expect that from the Clash. Now, how do you rebuild? Joystick gets one, but they're underneath. They can't get their way back up in time. They still need to put the pressure on the Clash. The Sledge smashing their way closer and closer with the electricity. It does nothing. Now the Bravo more concerned about the chance of somebody swinging with a gun up, but they're running out of time. They came off and they still won it, Demo.
Oh, beat the buzzer. Three-pointer goes in out of nowhere. My goodness me. I mean, VP really leaving it to the last dying moment off that round. So, obviously the Clash kills the guy in the window, takes down the player planting. Then VP have to scramble. The taser effect from the Clash was slowing them down so much, they then took the diffuser out of Jim, I believe he attempted the plant over towards mattress inside of bedroom, and then whatever happened, VP must have got the calls, play for kills, because they came off the plant and they killed both of them just in the nick of time. Hopefully we'll see it here in the replay how long was actually left, but by goodness me. Should see the clash play here. Yeah, 1, 2. Oh my. Point 10? Point 10, I think.
We like to keep it close here at Rainbow Six Siege. We like to keep it as close as possible. It's just another round, though. It's another... They needed to do or die, and Virtus.pro somehow do it. Yes, those traditionally seem to happen for Virtus.pro on the defense. But they're still being stressed. They're still being stretched. They were too slow on the round that they lost. They were as close as possible. They had the 5 versus 3 advantage, but 20 seconds, as almost proven by the clash, it just takes one errant player, one problem, one bit of erroneous data to throw the whole system out of whack. Still traded, still bloody, still back and forth. And still Dan. 3 rounds, 7-1.
Let me just see. Yeah, last time they played each other in Clubhouse, it was actually an even split for VP and Gen.G on these respective halves. It was 3 rounds each. The issues, I think, will come whenever Gen.G have to go on the attacking side because they didn't win a single one against VP. So right now for VP, the more attacks that they can get and set themselves up nicely for the defense is going to be a massive bonus for them. So Gen.G need to dig in here and get some rounds back, as VP will be attempting their attack in towards this top floor again. Now, last time we were here, it was a round which, again, you kind of scratch your head and think, how did VP win that? VP right now are like Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. In goes the Sophia. That will remove any semblance of a bandit trick, so Asa has to move out of the way, and that wall will be opened up. Now, that's something that he didn't do last time. Was open up this wall, and now it splits, obviously, the bomb site in 2. You have the garage side, which is now going to stay. Anyone who's in towards Catwalk, that being Skies, he's going to be stuck there, and nobody can run over to support him. So that's going to be the next thing for VP, is looking at pinching that player in towards Rafters. What an opening pick, by the way. You've taken out the smoke for this? That's Christmas Day for VP right there.
I'm kind of trying to work out how. I'm assuming it was up through stock, like a hole in the floor and an angle from that position. I don't think anyone was hanging around underneath on secret side.
Was he not on the stairs? I think he just killed him from the red stairs.
Did he? I mean, Joystick was in...
Let me see, was he, or was it in the...
No, up through the floor. Okay. Yeah, because Joystick was in stock, so I was like, how's he netted that one there? And we saw him use all of the stuns, and the only thing I could think of... Oh! Dan dropped by Nako, who then saw a Blackbeard and decided it's not worth the waste of bullets to just fire them towards them, but now we get to make the next approach. Had a premonition and tried to get the body on the end of it, but again, 40 seconds demo. We enter that narrow time of Joystick finding the flanker. Deadshot tried to come his way up the main stairs, got dropped. Now they have a man advantage, 30 seconds. You can see Asta's trying to step himself in and almost got Joystick for it. Did a lot of damage, took a bit less. I mean, it's super aggressive. The ADS is coming his way as well. Tries to melee the shield, but the pre-fire comes against them. Hits the side of it. 13 seconds. Has to charge their way all the way to the... Okay. That's an option. You're buying time. But now it's a 3 versus 2. They still have to get the plant, and they have this angle. Skies with the cross blinded. No kit. They have to send it for kills, and they just hide.
I mean, what's the Blackbeard doing?
Making a mistake.
I don't know what all the Blackbeard need to do is stay alive there. He will get his opportunity to get that kill. He's just unshielded right in front of him. Time. It is a big issue right now, it feels like, for VP. Every single round feels right down to the wire. And whenever you're playing that style, there's always that risk of stuff can go wrong. And for them, it was the diffuser cold on the ground, nobody in position to pick it up. I mean, they've went for the Ying push, you know, to flood the site and get in there. The fact that the garage guys went unchecked that entire time is insane. They've opened up that CC breach so you can hold that guy from the garage head holes. And nobody was over to that side. You know, Shepard who's just sat outside the construction window. Like, if you had somebody sat outside the breach, he also, one, could have pushed in and killed the guy on red stairs, and also could have just took the fight against the guy on garage. So they're missing that extra man who should be over on the other breach. Why open it if you're not going to do anything with it?
Deploying jammer.
Two apiece. Two apiece, and, you know, you can talk about how close the round just before got was. There's the example of when it doesn't go their way. Virtus.pro. Great start, good lead-in, good work by Joystick, and things just didn't connect anywhere else. Gen.G put the punishment in, and maybe when I talk about not having enough left in the canister, this attack game will start to shift into a brawl like this, where that pace, that extra step, think about how the maps have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. The biggest one yet is Clubhouse, and the biggest hurdle is time. That's not quite going to cut it. We'll try again. That one will. They can try and get the wall itself open. They're in. And they're off to the Clarity races. And, well, with the death mark failed because a mute jammer probably stood firmly upon, makes things a little bit more irritating for their approach.
And has that long angle on the main stairs. And I thought for a moment there that Skies maybe would have went up, but said back down he goes. In terms of VP and their lineup, still got plenty of soft destruction to open up the kitchen. And how has Nako got away with getting a pick on the Pasha? He's now trapped inside a strip, and will VP send somebody to hunt them? I mean, get the Blitz in there. And speaking of, you can see the silhouette of the Blitz now wrapping around towards lockers. Nako is in for one heck of a fight now, and he even goes deeper into the changing room, and this is where he's going to be locked into. He's going to be stuck here. Blitz will spot him out now. C4 as well. And oh, Joystick takes a lot of damage, but Nako's doing a great job of just wasting time here. If he finds another pick, it would be incredible, but he is just trapped, and Joystick playing really well with a flash there, just waiting for his moment to get that full blind off. So yeah, they've dealt with the roamer, but I mean, fair play to Nako though, he's wasted so much time.
I mean, exactly that, right? I've commented on it a couple times. Now it's in that position once again of no time left here, and they're getting themselves some options underneath. Fine. There's somebody directly slipping away from the hatch and not caught. It's Skies. Run immediately underneath the blinding light from above him, but happy enough to find the shade. Joystick gets the kit down towards the bottom. They're inside, towards the back. They're going to see if they can try and get a plant, potentially with the shield on their back. It's full trust in the cover, and the cover needs to be spot on. And, oh, it's a decent job. Look at Joystick's health, though. Good, a bullet away. But Virtus.pro make that one land. There goes Joystick, but it's a 3 versus 1. Yeah, they had to push that one out the head. Again, though, final 10 seconds.
Yeah, but that was a lot more control though from VP. I think they had an idea of what they wanted to go for. You've seen that the Ash opened up, well, the Ash run-in wall, as we like to call it, isn't it? The wall closest to the bottom of main stairs. You open that up, the shield slips right in. You don't have to drop the hatch. Much safer position where you can get yourself positioned better to go for the plant. Yeah, lot better from VP. They know what they want to do. It's tough. I think it was very, very tough dealing with that Ash run-in wall, looking at the lineup from Gen.G, because they didn't really have a hard counter to that. It's different if they have about 20 C4s, they can just start tossing about the place, but they just weren't in a position. Obviously, you know, you look at Gen.G, the players who had the C4s, they were over towards church. You know, there's nobody who's going to be in a position to get that lob all the way towards where the shelving unit is. So, again, positioning, I think, was very, very key there for Joystick. So, credit to him, but still, the cover was also very strong from VP. Good round to recover, especially a little bit of a misslip there with allowing that guy in towards strip and wasting a bit of time.
3-2. And at this point, it is still just traded rounds, and I'm going to retire the phrase narrow margins. but I think it's retired the jersey with how frequently they've been the operating sort of surgeon throughout these traded moments. It's just neither team can get that clinic on. Oh, no taking that Twitch drone back. As it gets caught out and shot out. And are we going to have another problem with an electric wall, as seems to be a bit of a recurring theme on Clubhouse today. Once upon a time it was very easy and very simple. Today it's proven not so. As they are ready, Deadshot gets droned out. Just going to slip away, but he's doing it cautiously. They weren't immediately trying to get the kill. Does spray their way up, but at this point, happy to escape, and Joystick is going to step in. Asa, though, in the bar, almost getting served up.
Dan knows to try and hold down that bar angle, but using the pistol, which is a strange maneuver. Has to reload the DMR now, and a fair few rats lurking around that mid floor, and one of them is going to go down. Oh, the explosive pipe! Who needs to back away, and Asa just barely gets out of the radius. And the pickup will be successful. That's going to be 2 players, though, off-site towards main stairs, and now VP can just turn their attention to everyone else upstairs. Gen.G, a horrific start for them in a really bad position.
Now, with this angle, this opening, and this opportunity, still worry about time. Yes, work has been done. You can see Virtus.pro is still trying to piece together the hold here on the side itself, and oh, the mirror window will get itself cracked open. They're still focused on trying to get this to land, but as time gets closer and closer, it just takes one place, one position. There's the break on towards the wall. The bathroom itself and the shower, now a bit more inaccessible. This is the divide, the worry, as the pressure falls on towards Logi. Okay, with the work that's been done, the pop of the Grimbees and the burn of everything underneath, they have at least one loose player, one loose fragment on the back of the desk. They're going to try and force out as they do. Pull themselves back in, but ooh, you can't. Glasses won't stop that. And there it is, a 5 versus 2. Azox and Deadshot, all that's holding on to the rest of this round. There's Deadshot for 1. There's Joystick trading it right back for his 3rd of the round. Make it another demo. That is our 5th 4 attacks, 2 defense half.
Micro-sided day. And VP made that attack look very, very clean. You know, good opening. Gen.G, I think, tried to lean in with their lineup where they wanted to play pretty heavy denial with C4s. VP didn't allow that to happen at all. You know, the 2 guys who were downstairs in towards bar, probably lurking at creeping, maybe in towards lounge, in towards stock, and look for C4s, knowing that VP will take in from cash. That was denied immediately, and it put them in a really bad position because those 2 players had to be really careful based on their HP. Both of them were down to about 20 HP each. And then you kind of see the round play out. VP pick up their kills at cash as expected. Those guys got no support because the C4s never came in from below. And then it's just very simple for VP to utility dump. 3, 2, 1, and they go. Very claustrophobic, as you can see, with the nades being tossed in. Nobody from Gen.G can really do anything. You know, they stopped Gen.G building any momentum by stopping their game plan at the first hurdle. They didn't allow those C4s to come in from below, and then they just play off that momentum. We know what VP are like. Whenever they get what they want and they can set up the way that they want to, nobody can really stop them.
I mean, there was a great sort of systematic approach at the final throws. They realized they had to keep on going and going and going, so they did exactly that. And for the comments made about how has the energy fared, how has it placed us,
10 seconds to insertion.
This is where it might have placed us for the side of Gen.G. Once again, the attacker baton has been passed back and forth. Will we get our 6th 4-2 attacking half between these 2 teams? Will the pattern be complete? Time will tell at this point. Has been trade of fortune at points, but one of the things that we've had from Gen.G across the opening 2 maps really has been someone going massive. Obviously in the previous maps, Skies 19-9 and Deadshot 12. When we were on border, Deadshot 15-9. Here so far, we've currently don't really have that. We don't have a difference maker or a distance maker. And that seems to be what Gen.G are missing at the moment. Think about the rounds that could have been clutched out, as they could have been on previous sort of maps. Who is going to be the one that can try and step into that on towards the attack? It's a quick approach onto Pasha and always, and you know, they're not going to waste any more time with it.
Need the pinch though. We need somebody coming in from the other side of the map. Just can't be the Blackbeard pushing one way. We need to see somebody trying to take in towards Garage. Maybe look at opening up that CC wall, but right now they're not doing any of that. They're just fully clearing from one side. VP are just going to be forced back and back and back, but still one of them will be able to reposition in towards red. And Ash, I think you just need to go, mate. And yeah, he does that. So half the round gone to a VP roam, but still Gen.G will not leave it empty-handed as they've been able to pick up one kill for the trouble. I have done a significant amount of damage though. VP's that Blackbeard, that all-important shield operator, and speaking of, just bashes his way in through Catwalk. Pasha's still up there, by the way. Pasha is challenging him in towards Catwalk, able to get the Blackbeard, but does get traded off. Don't know if that trade's too favorable though. Would you rather have a 4v5 in the basement or a 3v4? I suppose you minus the Blackbeard, so but Blackbeard's already on like 1 HP, so was he really going to pose the threat? I don't know.
I think they assumed maybe that they had just taken the drop down. Pasha are holding on. It's not great. You always kind of want the guns of Pasha firing, but as Dan is still trying to be aggressive, here's the drone roll down. That is the danger moment. But because the Buck went for the fight first, sort of didn't want to give the game away. They knew they didn't quite have the watch on the flea, but Demo the time again. 40 seconds now. They've still got to get some of their hard breach done. They're punching their way through a castle because it's quicker than the Habana pellets at this rate, and they've still got to get the hatch itself open. It's going to take about 10 seconds for that to approach. The wall is entirely mute jammed. It's going to be a send it and see as Skies rotates their way over with the kit towards the drop on Moto Hatch. But with Neko on the door, ready and raring to sort of swing their way around. 12 seconds becomes 10, becomes the red numbers, and there's a Goyo canister. We have seen this before. Will we see it again? Great drop on towards the A case, and that's Shepard down. Gonna go for the plant itself. They're trying to find the angle, but it's covered. Joystick gets one, but it's a post-plant situation. Cannot find the last bullet, but they find it right back. Who else but Skies?
Oh, what a play from Skies. Like you mentioned, full send it. Goyo canisters blocking off Moto. That is what remember VP were in the exact same position on one of their attacks. Literally carbon copy. Not a lot of time left. They have the man advantage. VP went church, and the Goyo canister was there, and it messed up their day. Look at what Gen.G did. They forced the armory, knowing that Goyo canisters are not going to be there to disrupt that. I will mention, for the third time I think today, nobody holding long. Just nobody holds this corridor, the main corridor in that bomb site. Attackers are just strolling through it. I don't know how. I don't know how they're doing it today. Absolutely insane. But yeah, Gen.G, thanks to Skies once more. Great play, pushes in, get that diffuser down. Wowzer. Sigh of relief there as well. Just the chair lean back.
10 seconds left.
4-3. And yeah, it's almost the sort of parallel, right? We saw exactly the same sort of predicament. You're on Moto, you have no time, and there's a fire. But what had been done there was they had a plan B, they had the option, and they had Skies. Gets himself the important kills. And I mean, you know, he's still falling a bit short for now, but it's early days, and maybe it'll generally come to him on his attack. It's a first round. Only one separates them from leveling it up. Neither team wants to break in the momentum right now. I think they fully expect this to go to our 5th OT demo.
It is slowly but surely nearing that conclusion. But still, don't know. Anything can happen. Well, Gen.G have been able to win more attacks against VP than what they did the first time they played them in the regular stage. So that is, again, it just shows that this team has gotten better as the stages went on. So, again, nothing but praise for Gen.G today. Been really, really impressed no matter what the outcome is. Still think they performed to a really high standard here today. I think for Matchco, they need to be watching this game very closely because don't forget we still have that 5th and 6th place match that does take place tomorrow. So still, see how Gen.G wants to progress now into this attack, as already half the round is gone. And yeah, not much has really happened on either side. A couple of walls being opened up, yes, expected whenever there's not really any wall denial coming in for BP because of Gen.G and their bans, getting rid of the Cade and the Bandit just to make that ease of getting the walls open that much easier, of course. I think that the main thing now that BP just need to be heads up for is going to be that Blackbeard. Yeah, that's going to be the danger man. That's going to be the operator who can push into these areas such as bathroom, into gym, which is what he's going to do right now.
Well, tried to get an angle on towards Shower, but they're gone. They've pulled back from Virtus.pro. They're reassessing. Now there is the punch on the back. That's the worry, but Joystick drives in, gets traded out, and they're going to make sure that they can try and get the close down on CC, but I think Shepard just won that fight out. That surrounds a Blackbeard, and that surrounds Blackbeard. That surrounds the pressure onto Azox. Blackbeard in the bathroom, waiting, and Azox does win out against Always from the window. 2 versus 3. If they can try and find one more kill from the mix of it, they're going to lean on towards the clash. They can see the shield, but oh, just went for it. A few too far. And unfortunately, the divide proved unpassable. All on the BP at this point. They're going to try and move either side of the fight itself. The kit's recollected, as is a goo mine in the foot. And that is the cleanup for Virtus.pro. Keep themselves 2 steps ahead.
Have to commend him. He went for the tech, didn't he? Vaulting through the shield and attempting to just slash the clash, but you can see the clash backpedaled very quickly. But yeah, VP, a good hold. I think Gen.G, they tried to go quick. I think they were really hoping that Blackbeard was going to be able to get that first initial pick in bathroom, but nobody was in bathroom. Nobody from the defense. Just left it open. And I think that probably annoyed them a little bit because they were hoping, okay, we'll get this pick and then we have full bathroom control. But it was the clash. The clash just patrolling that bomb site. That's why the operator is so strong. Some other casters around the world will make you believe that she's not that good. I'm here to tell you that that is not the case.
Waiting. In 3 minutes, we'll get another message from him. Gen.G timeout. They have pulled it back from the brink multiple times, but the longer this series has gone on, the more exhausting it has gotten. Here, yeah, just the throwing themselves in. Joystick finding the chance to rotate there. Cover of Azox, they had the read, but just did not have enough mobility inside the site. Maybe they sent it a step prematurely, hoped that they knew where everyone was, but you could see the Blackbeard assumed to clear behind it, and they went for a rush that just, you know, the win con had moved, or it was different to what they expected.
Good round for VP, gets them back on track, and now they will attempt again this basement, and similar to kind of what we said with some of the rounds for Gen.G and their defense, VP probably should do better at controlling the little pockets of spaces, you know, that Gen.G certainly found the last time they were here. For Gen.G, they've really leaned into the self-destruction. You've got a ram and a sledge, so you can only assume that kitchen is going to be on the table for them. So, honestly, we haven't even seen a dirt push. That's been one dirt push here today, which I find pretty surprising.
Yeah, I think we've had a distraction of a dirt push. We've had I think it was in the earlier game where there was
like a 2 Goyo canisters stacked up, wasn't it? The guy tried to push and he just couldn't.
Yeah, and there was also one round where I thought maybe the defenders thought there was a dirt push, but they had sort of misread it, and I think it was a single player. It was the one where Falcons just charged in. Very first round of the first game.
Oh, you're going back quite a while there.
That's it. I mean, to be fair, based on the games, because you and I think it was like 2 7-0s or something the other day, and now it's this. So we've really had a very different phase, but Gen.G, timeout taken. Growth is the MO from this point onwards. To get a sniff of Virtus.pro player, but otherwise all fully moved on and left.
Hope that they get the nades in and get rid of the Goyo canisters, because they've got plenty of them, so there really should not be an excuse for them to not destroy that bit of util. And what is that? Asha just drops in through Conhatch and gets annihilated by Skies, who's just idly standing beside it. I mean, VP is the wing con going to be a flank. I mean, there's also a guy inside a garage. It's going to be Joystick. He can maybe try and get a pretty good flank off. It could disrupt here what Gen.G are trying to go for. And it may be coming in pretty quick now. There's still a minute to go, and it looks as though they're ready to go for this drop.
Ooh. Narrow pixel to get that final fire, and gives them about 30 seconds from boots on the ground to action. Ready with a C4 on towards main. That's the lineup practiced in place. The Skies takes a bit of damage. Another just root in on main though, and Nako gets Dan. Gets the kill. The C4's too late, and hey, here's that dirt you called for. 2 bodies inside, but also they outnumber them 5-3, so they have the expendables to put here. The Blackbeard pops the grenades, removes any player from AK, so now they have them forced off, so they can go for the plant. It's dropped down on the hatch, and that's what's going to be cemented. They've made a back line, and they've just tried to walk right across it. Nako gets an easy pickup. There's a flawless demo. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what you expect to see, though. On a map like Clubhouse, Kitchen Dirt Take, it's old, but it's gold. Works a lot of the time. Just as long as you can do the basic fundamentals right, really no issue there for Gen.G. There's not a whole lot that you can do against a good Kitchen Dirt push. It's very tricky for defenders, I think, to want to play in positions like AK in towards third box whenever teams are just bringing heaps of util. You know, because a lot of those positions are static positions. You have to just stay there and hold an angle. And as soon as like just a nade lands at your feet, you're done. Because you either die to the nade or you move out of position and then there's somebody holding an angle. Again, you have to then go really heavy into the util denial. So you have to then bring like ADSs and while my magnets every single round to try and go against that. VP didn't have any of that. So I think Gen.G playing their util really well. It rooted players out of position and everything on check. Player bottom main stairs always helps that as well. Just covers that cross. So yeah, very, very good work from Gen.G.
Bomb located by attackers.
By 4.
Deploying mobile cover. Warning about grenades.
We hurtle ever closer to another OT. As was written in the stars and the predictions before us. Tim and Derry are going to have a late one.
Better them than us.
That's very true, actually. Usually there's always the conversation of where do you want to have this sort of break game. Tomorrow you and I are stepping in, I think, to help
middle game.
And we've got the middle game. So
it's the sweet spot.
It is the sweet spot for us potentially tomorrow. We don't make the choice. It was sort of, you know, it was a conversation, but if this is any sign of how tomorrow is going to go, I'm fine with that.
Reloading.
Still, the start of pressure. We saw a couple of silly catches on loose players before. Deadshot's going to see if he can try and root around anyone that might be doing the same thing. Prepped for the rotates up and down the main stairs. But otherwise, it's just piece by piece. This is the main angle. If there's anyone that's on the other side of the map and they now try and get back, which it looks like there is a couple, but can they have the force? That's the problem. They seem to build themselves a bunker, and Pasha, as I said, he cannot cross this divide. That means the player inside Logistics underneath a massive bit of pressure. They've got to either drop down and rotate, which is where we saw the Capitao of Deadshot, and they're just trying to encircle these Virtus.pro players.
That's it. Straight over, opens up that wall. And again, with the bans, Gen.G have no issues with wall denial. Just makes their job a heck of a lot easier. I have mentioned before in broadcast, you know, Gen.G have like one of the only kind of Thermite mains that we have in the game. Asa, if it's possible, he will just try and play that operator. It's a comfort pick for him. And yeah, with no wall denial, makes things very easy. Oh, Deadshot, you've just seen 2 people. You could have killed Miyazami, but you've got off of it. Oh, Deadshot. Kill that goes begging, but Shepard still takes a lot of damage though from elsewhere. Oh, Deadshot, no, he goes down. Shepard finally gets killed, and look at this, Dan aggressively going in with a 9mm, but he loses as well. What is going on? Fast and furious trades. Another one. Oh, joystick on main stairs. Roamer after roamer after roamer. Just such a headache for Gen.G right now.
At that point, I mean, they sort of tried to bake everything perfectly, but now what have they got, Demo? Skies and Azox to send it. There's still 2 smoke canisters in pocket. There's 50 seconds, and they can just sort of play against that perfectly. They tried to bait out a bit of the utility there with some of the approach, but nothing really happened, and, you know, their only option is to hope that they can get the catch. It seems like they're not fully aware on where it's coming from, and a single Wamai disc. You know you're going to swing right as soon as contact happens. There'll be pressure from the other side of you as well. Throws it in deep. But there it is, the first court. Pasha gone, 20 seconds, new angle, new ideas, new rotation as well. They hopped through, but it wasn't heard. So now Azox doesn't know that they've moved their way on. He's watching and waiting for ghosts at this point. Caught out by joystick. It's a 2 versus 1. Skies, legendary moments before. Can't get another one. Virtus.pro. They are on map and series point.
Aggro. That was the mentality for VP in that round. They start off that extension into bedroom and bathroom and beyond. Obviously, it caught Gen.G just by surprise. You know, you've got 2 roamers, sure. Really unfortunate for Deadshot, though. He should have had an easy kill onto Izami. I just don't know. Is it a panic thing? I don't know. I think for a player of that caliber, it shouldn't be. And then he walks through the door, dies. Yes, they get the trades down when Aggro got punished, but then the 3rd roamer, I think that was the kicker, wasn't it? It was the fact that there was another one sat on main stairs, takes out the Thermite as well. That was very important to note. The Thermite goes down, that single wall being reinforced. How on earth are the remaining 2 players going to win that? Clearly that comes down to not doing your drone work well. If someone has been able just to walk up main stairs.
Yeah, I think it's also, you know, it's the comment that I made of the round before, right? When they sort of sent it in, were they on the back of, let's just rush and see what happens? Or were they on the back of, this is the intel, oh no, the intel is wrong? Based on the angles they went on, what is the disconnect that is kind of happening here for their side? And where are things not quite hitting the mark? I don't know. But now they have 2 chances. 2 final moments to keep themselves in. Obviously, we threw our minds back towards border, and they were in an even worse spot. And that one they were able to come together. They were 6-3 down, through 3 rounds in a row, and then actually a 4th, but then lost it in OT. There's a slightly more back and forth, bitter affair in Bank, but here on Club,
10 seconds
if they want to get
remaining.
us into our 3rd OT of this showdown, it has to come down to them stepping in. As I said, they are still missing that secret source, that X factor. Over the opening 2 maps, they've had somebody go at least sort of +6, +7, +10 in the case of Skies. But here, without that big divide breaker, and with joystick becoming that, and stealing whatever mojo was in the pockets of Gen.G, might just be too much of an extra kilogram on the scale.
So Gen.G, slow and steady approach as they start to work their way through this hold, of course, in towards that cash room. Now, the clash ban obviously is going to help them out here massively, because it was a big issue here last time they attacked it. So without the clash, how do VP gain control once those windows start getting pressurized? And at the moment, it just seems to be going all in on this cash hold, and there's the mute jammer. It will delay the Selma charges ever so slightly before that EMP goes out, and C4 just barely misses that kill into Azox. And because that wall is going to be opened up, it will force now the VP players back into the bomb site. I'm actually surprised that nobody was on the window for that cutoff, so kills will go amiss. It's still really good timing, though, from Gen.G. They've been able to clear all of these players and also get the first pick and the second, but still half the round up.
Great start here for Gen.G. There's 2. They've got rid of Pasha, got rid of Always, and got rid of big problems on this approach of class. Now they can still focus on the utility, focus on the drive against the Keybers. Ooh, and they were leaning in towards the fight at the very end of the corridor. They're going to buy themselves a second with that grenade, but they won't get anything else, obviously, on the end of it. A minute 10. So much time here for them to reconvene. They still have a Selma that is now thrown out and breached. There's a rotate. They know about the lurk. They had it well watched. You could see multiple Gen.G players turn to face it. Virtus.pro finally find their first and try to find a second joystick. But instead pulls himself back. 40 seconds left. There's joystick for another. He's back to the window and he takes a lot of damage for it. The smoke cover, but they're going for the plant. Cemented on the other side of the bomb shaft. He just threw himself into the open gunfire at that point because what else could he do? Fortunately, without the rotate, Shepard really had nowhere else he could go. They know exactly where the plant is, but they know exactly where Shepard's ins and outs of this map are, and look how far back they've pulled themselves. Yeah, no real pulling that one back. That's one. Will they get another?
I mean, they had a tougher time pulling back into borders. So this should be light work for them, realistically. Yeah, just very simple for Gen.G. They just had to trade the kills back and forth. They had more than enough members to get that round over the finish line. And for VP, it's losing out in that clash, holding that top floor is very tricky for them. And Gen.G just going through the motions, doing the basics very, very well. You know, opening up that cache wall, forcing those players out of cache, back into the bomb site, and targeting the windows. Yeah. Good job again from Gen.G. I cannot stress how impressed I've been of this side tonight. Even though, yes, they are losing, and all it takes is this next round to be a slip up. But still, Gen.G tonight, they've done very, very well. We'll see if they can push us into our 5th overtime of the evening. VP on the defense, they go downstairs. Now, obviously for VP, the defenses haven't been too great today. I mean, really, the defenses just in general today for all of our 4 teams have not been great. It has been very attacker-sided. You just hope for VP this time that they will be aware of, again, that traditional kitchen dirt, which worked really, really well for Gen.G. VP, I think I've kind of assessed that. I mentioned before, if teams are going for the kitchen dirt and they've got plenty of util, plenty of nades, the only way you're going to counter that is if you start bringing in ADSs and Whammy magnets. Look what they've brought in, ADSs and Whammy magnets. So they are prepping, fully prepping for a heavy util lineup.
Just being hot droned ahead. They want this Ash to have a fight, and it wasn't gifted towards them. They have wasted no time. Gen.G knows that the clock has been dangerous before, and at this point, with that Ash, with the Ash and 2 drones, they've cleared the map. And Virtus.pro, yeah, they didn't contest it massively, fair enough. They wouldn't have been able to get this far without it, but it allows Gen.G to actually start cooking. One way to do that.
Oh dear. Who's that on the main stairs? Who is that? I think Dan, he's either going to be the hero or the zero.
Oh, they have a bulletproof. They've made it into a little fort, but nothing can stop that. Deadshot on a mission, Dan gone. They lose the Warden, they lose some of the cover, but it's the Oster play that's the play, right? And what you can do with this Oster is try and duck them in left, and oh, that was so risky always.
Like swapping mix.
But now, Oster deployed at the bottom along.
Breaching charges up.
And they're just going to try and potentially, you know, eke the Oster in just on the base of B. With a minute 10. Can Virtus.pro.
They caught him. He went up oil pit and they seen him on the camera. So this flank from Joystick, yes, he's going to attempt it, but he is known. He is known that there's only 3 players in sight. Now, for Gen.G, surely you give Diffuser over to the Ossa and also just drops Kitchen and go. Look who has Diffuser, Asa, and he's all the way over in towards stock. He has Diffuser. He's been left to try and deal with this flanker, but they need to get the kit over to that Ossa who can simply drop in through the kitchen hatch and go for the plant. So I'm a little bit cautious here that the Diffuser isn't in the right hands right now. I mean, Skies is in, but where's the Diffuser?
Yep, that's entirely, I'm with you. At this point, Skies is driving his way through. They're in dirt, but What's going on? Fighting a shield in dirt. At this point, Shepard's down. Always all that's left, but he's dropped. Demo once again. We're going to overtime.
I think VP have lost their heads. What was that for a defense? I mean, Dan sat on main stairs. It's very rare we see somebody pop off of main stairs. He was always going to be a dead man. I mean, Gen.G have been very, very switched on. Yeah, it's been so good from them the way that they have assessed these targets where VP are leaving themselves open. So many players just in positions that are so easily dealt with of any team who have half a brain. And guess what? Gen.G have more than that. So Dan playing in that position just dies immediately, gives nothing to his side. He's the warden. Whenever there's, you know, smokes kicking about, we'd love to have that. Also as a C4 to deny maybe the also shields. With Joystick, who, albeit, went for the flank, just siege timing, got caught on the camera as he went for it. Then the two guys in dirt, what are they doing? Can't even deal with Azox. I mean, Azox has taken both of them down on the fuse shield, for goodness sake. Yes, I praise Gen.G, but this VP side at the moment need to have words. They need to.
You can stop worrying about grenades.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
6. I said Gen.G deserved themselves the third map and they earned it. But it's always the harsh reminder that the loser of this game just falls to a 5th, 6th playoff position. And it's impossible to gauge. It's impossible to talk about. We're in this position because both these teams have earned it, regardless of the merit that they can be measured on previous days or previous internationals or previous performances or previous, you know, sort of play days of this weekend. We are at where we are at because these 10 players have refused to let this one end. But within 3 rounds, it has to. And only one of them will walk away progressing into an almost immediate showdown with nobody but Team Falcons. The Selma removed from the outside wall. Virtus.pro starting on their defense, and you could argue whether it's in their favor or not. But on the play day that we have had with 4-2 halves, every single half in the favor of attacks across all 3 maps, I'm thinking that Virtus.pro feel like they have a cursed chalice right now that they have to drink out of and see if they can survive long enough.
Here they go. Don't tell me they're going to go quick. I mean, Azox is smoking things off, and here he goes. The smoke canister will try and bat him back, but Azox is staring them right in the face. The pistol comes out, but VP respond with 2. Yes, they've lost 1. They've lost that top red player, but look how quickly Pasha rotates and retakes that position. The attempted rush has fell flat on its face.
Well, they tried to sneak their way in from behind, but they had the watch. It's a 3 versus 3. There's a shotgun outside. There's 1. There's 2 and a bit. Oh no, in fact, barely anything. Just out of the range. I was convinced, I was a believer, but they believed more, and that's more bulletproof than anything. 50 seconds. 3 versus 2, but think about the position of everything right now. The kid is on Asa outside, and he's the one that needs to watch the rotate. If it was the other way around, Nako might be able to find a sneaky route inside, but they just do not have that option. They're in each other's position right now, which means that they have to try and either go for a big rotate or push for a kill. One of them underneath. Asa wants to fight up red, but they seem to have a full awareness on it, and the Akiba puts it possible. There's the flash. 19 seconds and the break on the barbed wire, but there's another set at the top as well. Nako goes for the call. They just take the damage all the way up and all the way back out. They're watched perfectly either side. Shepard gets 1. There's almost a light up there, but there is another for Virtus.pro. They get their defense, but it's still so far from done.
I mean, Asa did damage to all 3 remaining players, but couldn't kill a single one. Oh dear. Oh. So I mean, you know what's really shocked me? The way that Gen.G have played a lot of their attacks, and then they've just decided to lash out with that. That shocked me. Did they really need to just full send a fuse in by himself? I mean, this isn't the Gen.G that we've kind of seen up to this point. Still half the round to play for. I mean, they were doing their basics right. They've got the main wall open. They were able to take in towards garage. So, what was the call to go for that play? That's what's puzzling me right now.
Camera ready to activate.
It might be, Demo, a call that haunts them for a while. Can Gen.G do what feels impossible for big swathes of this map and win a defense? Can they take us yet again to the brink? Can they turn this best of 3 into a best of 3 rounds into just a best of 1? For Virtus.pro, built by and led by a rejuvenated joystick, push this one over the edge. At this point, though, as I said before, all of the players have absolutely given their all into this long series, and I feel sorry for the ones that almost have to win this and go into another series. I'm sure they'll be happy with the prize difference and the chance for first eventually, but still a lot of work. Just getting the first bit of the breach done, so nobody can try and trick against it. They obviously have to bandit, but it's going to be a focus on the opposite end when if we cast our minds all the way back, it was slow starts from Virtus.pro on Club. They weren't quite able to get themselves all the way across, but they were able to win the first swing at Gym Bedroom when they eventually got around to it.
Changing mags!
And here, they're not wasting any time. Joystick
As my friend would say, time to ring.
Celebrating their way up red here. They're still struggling with a Habana trick, and it was scrappy, but there goes the current top player for Gen.G.
Oh, this is tense. Every engagement, you just don't know where it's gonna go. Skies, just barely gets out of garage. Into oil pit is where he drops, and Joystick's actually hunting him. Look, Joystick's opened up the hatch. He's after this castle, and looks as though SkyJ will be pinched. VP, like hounds, vicious on that approach to target that player who was caught out of position. Now VP are just turning up the heat. The Gen.G are getting burned at minute 15 to try and hold out with 2 players left. I mean, they're not even in the bomb site, trying to hold on to cash, for goodness sake. VP can just take all the time in the world and see this over the line.
As that castle gets opened and always wins another, it is just Deadshot left, finds one, but now they know where he is and somebody's on the way to the site. They're just going to end it here. Virtus.pro could not have taken a longer route, but credit for that is for Gen.G, who fought tooth and nail and every single tendon to claw themselves on every single round, but it just could not be enough. Credit to them for forcing the fight, and more credit for the growth they have had since they started.